Nice work out there. Keep up the pressure.
Hey. My history. At the money that we are getting, getting and paying interest on, is used for good things, proper things. It's handled properly. As I said, it's not hindi nababawasan ng mga korap. Buo ang pagpadala mo sa ipapadala mo sa programa at maganda yung programa na pinaglagyan mo ng pera na yun.
We have normalized the concept of SOP in this country.
Yes.
What do you do to that?
Well, you just have to minimize it, and you have to put it.
But it cannot be totally eradicated, just mitigated.
Corruption is not a Philippine condition. It is a human condition. There are dishonest people wherever you go. And there will be always somebody who's trying to finagle the accounts, who's cooking the books na para meron siyang mabulsan. So, pero kailangan bantayan ng mabuti yan. And that's something, the idea of SOP, that is also comes from the efficiency of government. Why do I say that? If the government's very efficient, very streamlined ang trabaho, walang fixer. Di ba? Wala kang kailangan bayaran. Dahil, normal yun eh. Kukuha ka ng passport, kukuha ng lisensya, maglalakad ka ng permit ng papeles mo. May pinalapit na fixer, anong kailangan mo? Magbabayad ka na naman. Bawat dokumento na pipirman, babayad ka na naman. Yan yung that's the corruption on the small scale. But of course, the checks and balances also have to work on the large scale. And when we are talking about government funds, when we are talking about
Senator Bongbong, let's go to the West Philippine Sea. Pag-usapan natin ito. Pag pinag-uusapan ng West Philippine Sea, Scarborough Shoal, or Bajo de Masinloc, Panatag, ika nga, and the Kalayaan Island Group na northeastern part ng Spratly Islands. Yan ang inaangkin, hindi inaangkin, yan ang atin. There's a West Philippine Sea na patuloy na inaangkin ng China. Sa Subi, Zamora Reef at Mischief Panganiban Reef ang tawag natin. At iba pa, nagtayo na ang China dito ng mga underground storage, missile shelters, radar arrays, and other facilities. Noong July 12, 2016, naglabas ng desisyon ang Permanent Court of Arbitration, PCA, pabor sa Pilipinas sa issue sa West Philippine Sea. Atin ang West Philippine Sea, sabi ng korte. Pero patuloy pa rin na inaangkin ito ng China. Tuloy din tayo sa pagfa-file ng mga diplomatic protests. As of December 2021, we have filed 241 protests, diplomatic protests, at nakatanggap naman tayo ng 152 na sagot. Tanong, bilang presidente ng Pilipinas, you are also the chief architect of foreign policy. My question is, you are applying to be president of this country. If all diplomatic efforts fail, do you think the Philippines is strong enough and prepared to fight a defensive war against China to protect our territorial sovereignty?
Well, first of all, I will go back to the premise. We must not allow diplomacy to fail. It is the only option that we have. The only way, there are three ways where territory can be gained or lost. And one is to arbitration with the agreement of both parties. Kasi arbitration nga, there's an arbiter between two different parties. Ang problema dyan sa China ay sinabi na nila, hindi kami signatory dyan, hindi kami makikinig kung ano man ang magiging findings ng court. So, nandun na tayo. So that arbitration is no longer an arbitration if there's only one party. So it's no longer available to us. The second way that territory is lost again is through war. Now, that I believe is a option that we must dismiss outright because it is a completely ludicrous assertion that going to war with China is going to be advantageous to the Philippines or even to China, for that matter. Nobody wants to go to war. China doesn't want to go to the Philippines. The third way is by bilateral agreement. And that's what we are left with. Bilateral agreement with China. We must continue to engage China. So if you talk about pure military capability, I think we all know that to compare the military capability of the Philippines, even if we are building up and we are modernizing our AFP, malayong-malayo talaga tayo sa China when it comes to men and material and capability to fight a shooting war. So, wag na natin pag-usapan yun dahil hindi talaga option yun. We must continue to engage the Chinese. And the diplomatic, pag nagpapadala tayo ng diplomatic protest, hindi sapat yun. We have to still continue to try and engage them in all many ways. I always use the example of the United States and China. Maalala ninyo, naging malapit ang nagkaroon ng diplomatic relations ang China at saka ang United States. Nagsimula ang usapan sa ping-pong. Sino naman may akala doon manggagaling yung solusyon? Kaya't subukan natin lahat ng paraan. Yung mga negosyanteng Chinese na may pamilya pa sa China, sabihin naman nila, baka matulungan nyo naman kami dito para makamaayos natin ito. Yung unahin natin, yung maliit lang na bagay, yung mga fisherman na hindi pinapapasok, yung mga mangingisda natin na siguro 100 taong na nangingisda doon, hindi na sila pwedeng pumasok. Unahin na muna natin yung kayang-kaya naman siguro na natin kausapin ng China, pabayaan nyo sila.
Senator Bong, tuloy-tuloy ang ating diplomasya. I mean, diplomatic, because you said diplomacy must not fail. Pero paano ka makikipag-negotiate sa bayang China na nakikipag-usap ka, halimbawa, pero hindi ka naman siniseryoso? I'll go to the point of the US and China, the ping-pong diplomacy. That's fine. But you know, China and the United States of America are on equal footing. They're both superpowers. This is the Philippines and China. Maliit na bayan. Hindi tayo siniseryoso. Nakikipag-usap tayo, pero patuloy naman ang kanilang pag-build ng mga structures sa West Philippines. So how do you continue diplomacy?
I think that we must engage. There is no other way. Anong ibang mga solusyon? Sasabihin natin, yung United States pumasok ulit sa Pilipinas, kayo mag-defend sa atin. Hindi na pwede yun. Hindi na, kasi kung minsan...
Pero malaki ang interest nila sa South China Sea.
Malaki talaga ang interest nila sa South China Sea.
That's about over $5 trillion that pass through.
But we have to get past the old thinking ng Cold War na meron tinatawag na spheres of influence. Bawat bansa namimili sa US kami, sa Soviet Union kami. Hindi na ganun ngayon. Ang iisipin lang natin, ano yung mabuti para sa Pilipinas? We continue to engage. Of course, we have a very strong traditional, institutional relationship, special relationship with the United States.
Did you say you would invite the United States to get involved and help us?
No. That is the problem is between China and us.
So the United States should be out.
If the Americans come in, it's bound to fail, because you're putting the two protagonists together, and we must understand. Dalawang superpower na nasa gitna tayo, lit-lit natin. Ang biro ko nga, bumahing lang na sa bayan, mawawala na tayo sa mundo.
Senator Bongbong, doon lang sa arbitration. Sabi mo nga, paano ka mag-arbitrate? Sinabi naman ng China, hindi ko tinatanggap ang iyong imbitasyon.
Yeah.
Do you think is there value of the PCA's decision saying that the West Philippine Sea belongs to us?
There is value because they confirm.
Don't give up.
Let's talk about our 10th question. Let's talk about the presidential qualifications. You are applying to be the President of the Republic of the Philippines. A very complex, gargantuan job. Nilista ko lamang ang ilan sa mga trabaho ng Presidente. Head of Government, Chief Architect of Foreign Policy, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, signs budget, manages finance, appoints justices, recommended by the Judicial and Bar Council, confers National Artist Awards, manages disasters and pandemics, fights drug wars, head of her political party, has power over aliens, has power of eminent domain, practices general supervision over local governments, and pardons convicts. That's how complex, napakalawak, napakalaki, how daunting ang trabaho ng isang presidente. Samantala, sa ating saligang batas, Article 7, Section 2 of the 1987 Constitution. Ang qualifications para maging isang presidente ay mga sumusunod. Number 1, natural-born Filipino. Number 2, a registered voter. Must be able to read and write. Number 4, 40 years of age at the day of the election. And number 5, must have resided in the Philippines 10 years before the election is held. Right now, as we talk, Senator Bongbong, napapanahon na ba para amyendahan ang provision na ito ng saligang batas? Oo, hindi, bakit?
Dahil, palagay ko hindi. Dahil the concept behind the way the Constitution has approached the qualifications for president is to come from the point na sinasabi, anyone should be allowed to be president. Dahil mahirap, hindi nakapag-graduate, pero marunong naman, dapat pwede, kung talagang kaya, pwede siyang maging pangulo. Hindi kailangan ng mga maging mayaman, hindi kailangan maging sikat, all of these things. And that's the idea behind that. But we also have to recognize that I agree, everyone should be allowed to be president. But not everyone can be a good president. So we have to pick, the fix, if you want to call it that, for that, is not to amend the Constitution and to amend the qualifications for president. It is to change the political system in terms of our choice of candidates. Dahil dahil yung multi-party system, kahit na lang sino, pwedeng magtayo ng partido basta may pera siya. At tatakbo, maging presidente, wala namang hindi talaga marunong, hindi namang qualified. Walang magawa. Dati, nung two-party system tayo, we had the liberal and the nationalista. Within the parties, everybody wants to be president. Lahat yan gusto mag-senador, mag-governor, mag-mayor. Pero sa loob ng partido mismo, ay namimili na. Tinitingnan sino bang pinakamagaling talaga dito, sinong ilalaban natin, sino imamanok natin na pwedeng senador. So pagpili ng isang partido, sasabihin nila, eto mga kandidato namin, ang para mong sinasabi, eto na yung pinakamagaling talaga sa amin. Ngayon, dun sa kabilang partido, ganun din ang ginagawa. Kaya kung sino man, puro magagaling ang mga kandidato dahil pinagsabong na yan sa loob ng partido. So lumabas ang pinakamagagaling, ang pinakamekaya, kahit sinong mahalal, marunong. And that, I think, is the way we can, the way that we can. I was a great proponent of the multi-party system because of my experience studying abroad, where I see that it has worked. But it has not really been a successful experiment.
So you are for the two-party system in the Philippines?
I think because we lack the political maturity yet in the Philippines to understand that ideology must play a part in the multi-party system.
Yan po ang ibig sabihin nyo na ayusin natin ang ating political system by going back to the two-party system.
I think that
para nasala na yung mga kandidato na parang Great Britain, for example. There's a quote that says, every prime minister, there is no amateur who becomes a prime minister because you have to be an MP.
Yes.
You have to be an MP to be nominated to be prime minister. You wanted to say something?
Well, the difference between that and the two-party system is that their party stands for something. When you talk about the Conservative Party, they're conservatives. You talk about the Liberal, they're liberal.
The Democrats and the Republicans may stand sa taxes at saka sa abortion.
The Green Party in Germany started off as an environmental party for environmental issues. All of these things that we haven't yet learned to adopt. And that's why I think we should start thinking about going back to the old simpler system that we can always guarantee that whoever is elected, I'm not talking only about the president, but whoever is elected in any position, all the way down to mayors and to councilors down at the lowest level, ay lahat yan may pinagdaanan na, may kakayahan.
And you can effect changes without having to amend the Constitution. Am I right? I'm not very familiar with this.
No,
Kasi, no, I mean, but you can have rules, no? I mean, can you add? I mean, I don't know how to do it, but like Myanmar, for example, peculiarities ito eh. Hindi ka na pwede magpresidente pag ang iyong asawa ay foreigner because of the Aung San Suu Kyi.
That's right.
And then Turkey, I think, is higher education is required. Indonesia ay high school graduates. France requires a bank account.
Bank account. Yeah.
So, titingnan mo ito bilang presidente.
But you are already discounting a large part of the population. Now, if like Turkey, you say you need to have a college,
Higher
college
education.
degree, then are you sure that every single citizen has access to a college education? If that's so, baka pwede yun. But we cannot guarantee that. You are again, as I said, excluding immediately with no reason except their educational attainment a large part of the population. Malay mo yung isa dun genius na napakagaling na aayusin na.
That one and many other requirements. Ang dami nilang mga requirements. Let's now go to the personal issue-based question, Senator Bongo. According to Amnesty International, during your father's presidency, from 1972 to 1981, about 72,000 were imprisoned, 34,000 were tortured, and 3,240 were killed. Tanong, itong data ba na galing sa Amnesty International? Senator Bongbong, ito ba ay pawang kasinungalingan lamang?
Well, I do not know how they generated those numbers, and I haven't seen them. But let us ask Amnesty International to share that information that they have, and maybe it will help us make sure that the system works and what alleged abuses occurred should not occur again. I think that's the only way that we can remedy that situation.
Now it's time to do our political fast talk.
Okay.
We have 60 seconds to do this. Senator Bongbong, bakit hindi dapat iboto si VP Leni Robredo?
Are you going to ask me this of each of the presidential candidates? Well, I'm very hesitant to answer that because I do not believe and I do not indulge in negative campaigning.
Okay.
But I will go this far. And I will say that I believe that none of the other candidates have yet come to the conclusion that unity, ang pagkakaisa, ang ating pangangailangan. At doon magsisimula ang ating pagbalik na dito sa krisis ng pandemya.
So that's your answer to Mayor Isko, Senator
To
Lacson?
all of them. I said because
and Senator Pacquiao.
and because of they have not seen that unity is a critical part, then they have not been able to come up with a specific program, a detailed program, for what we will do in next year to recover from.
Bakit ikaw ang dapat iboto?
Yeah, it's a converse of that, because my message is about unity. And
Narito na po tayo sa ating final question, answerable in 60 seconds, and I don't get to follow up. And the question is, March 19 of 2018, President Duterte withdrew the Philippines from the Rome Statute. When the withdrawal took effect on March 17, 2019, ang Pilipinas was no longer a member of the International Criminal Court, ICC. The withdrawal happened matapos ay anunsyo ng then ICC prosecutor Fatou Bensouda ang pagbubukas ng preliminary examination sa Pilipinas with respect to the alleged crimes against humanity na nagaganap sa bansa dahil sa war on drugs. The President has threatened to arrest the ICC prosecutor if she conducts activities here in the Philippines because we are no longer an ICC member and the ICC has no right to do any investigating. November 10, 2021, the Philippine government requested a deferral of the ICC's request for examination under the principle of complementarity, claiming that the country had begun its own investigations. The current ICC prosecutor, Karim Khan, in a document dated November 18, sabi niya they will temporarily suspend its investigation into the Philippines as it assesses the scope and effect of the government's request for deferral that cited the investigations being done ng ating Department of Justice. Human rights advocacy groups are urging the ICC to proceed with the investigation, to not further delay justice for the victims. The question is, hypothetical, sumulat ang ICC prosecutor na si Karim Khan at nagre-request na siya at kanyang team ay pumunta dito sa Pilipinas para simulan ang preliminary investigation sa di umano'y mga krimen laban sa sangkatauhan na may kinalaman sa war on drugs ni President Duterte. Ano po ang inyong gagawin? Papayagan mo ba sila pumunta dito sa Pilipinas? Oo, hindi, at bakit?
Papayagan ko sila dito, pero magturista lang sila. Dahil ang pagkaunawa ko sa ICC, the ICC is there pagka walang judiciary na nag-ooperate sa isang bansa. Dahil nagkagera, dahil nasira lahat, the economy has collapsed, etc., etc., for whatever reason. Diyan papasok ang ICC. We have a functioning judiciary. And that's why I do not see the need for a foreigner to come and do the job for us, to do the job for our judicial system. Our judicial system is perfectly capable of doing that. And it also raises a great many questions about jurisdiction and sovereignty. What is their jurisdiction? To come here into the Philippines and conduct an investigation. Is that not a violation of our rights as a sovereign nation in the community of nations? Those questions need to be answered before they can be allowed to do any investigation.
Senator Bongbong, maraming salamat.
Oh my, that went very quickly. Maraming
Salamat. Thank you for your time. God bless you at mabuhay ka.
And thank you very much.
Maraming salamat. At sa inyong lahat na sumama sa aming pag-uusap ni Senator Bongbong, maraming salamat. God bless you. Stay healthy. And good night. Mabuhay.
One interviewer, 5 presidential candidates, 10 common questions, 5 minutes to answer, 60 seconds to answer the personal issue-based question, a political fast talk, one final question, a gong sound. All answers are unedited. This is the 2022 presidential one-on-one interviews with Boy Abunda.
Tonight, our guest is the Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines, Vice President Leni Robredo. VP Leni, magandang gabi. Welcome.
Magandang gabi. Thank you for having me.
Let's now begin our interview. Let's talk about the environment, specifically mining, which I think is one of the most controversial environmental issues. Noong Abril 2021, President Duterte lifted the 9-year moratorium on granting new mining permits through Executive Order 130. Samantala, December 2021, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources also lifted the ban on open pit mining through Department Administrative Order number 2021-40. Pinuri ito ng mining industry. Samantala, binatikos ito ng mga environment and human rights defenders. Ang aking katanungan, VP Leni, you are applying to become the President of the Republic of the Philippines. If elected, pagtitibayin mo ba ang desisyong ito o ipapawalang bisa?
Ipapawalang bisa ko. Para sa akin, Boy, napakahalaga pagdating sa usapin ng environment na binibigyan at ine-empower yung mga maaapektuhan. Gustong sabihin, binibigyan ng mekanismo yung mga stakeholders na pinapakinggan yung boses nila. Maraming mga mahahalagang batas na kailangang ipasa na. Example lang doon yung land use bill. Kailangan mapasa na yun bilang batas. Dahil yun yung magsasabi, yun yung magpapanukala, alin bang mga lugar dito sa bansa natin ang kailangang ideklara ng mga no mining zones. Pag hindi pa ito napapasa, yung pag-i-issue natin ng mga permits ay hindi matatag yung nagiging basehan nito. Pangalawa, Doon sa mga lugar na ipapayag yung mining dahil nakasaad sa Land Use Act na pwede yung gawing mga mineral sites, sisiguraduhin natin no, yung makikinabang yung locality. Hindi negosyante, hindi Pilipino, pero yung makikinabang, lalo na yung mga indigenous peoples, dapat sila yung makinabang, dapat pagpapayagan nito, Tito Boy, sisiguraduhin natin na yung boses ng mga maaapektuhan ay pinapakinggan. Having said that, maraming mga bagay na sila yung, parang sila yung magse-safeguard. Sila yung magse-safeguard ng environment. Aasikasuhin natin yung i-rationalize natin yung mga iba't ibang mga opisina na walang overlapping ng functions. Halimbawa ng DENR, ng MGB, ng Climate Change Commission. Sisiguraduhin natin na klaro yung kanilang mga roles para yung accountability klaro din. Sisiguraduhin natin na kahit sa pagpili ng mga mamumuno sa mga opisinang ito, pinakinggan din natin yung boses ng mga environment advocates. Kasi napakahalaga, Tito Boy, na yung magre-represent sa akin sa cabinet. Siya yung magiging alter ego ko. Siya yung alter ego ng president. Dapat nagkakasundo kami sa paniniwala. And yung paniniwalang yon, yung pinaka-priority natin, ano ba yung makakabuti sa taong bayan? Ano ba yung makakabuti sa bansa?
Okay. VP Lenny, is this tantamount to saying na ikay para sa total mining ban or ikay naniniwala ba sa sustainable mining?
Ako naniniwala ako, boy, sa sustainable mining. Pero para sa akin kasi, yung sustainability, maa-attain lang natin yon. Pag meron tayong maayos na mekanismo para yung mga nakatira doon, yung mga taong mangangalaga, ay binibigyan natin ng boses. Ngayon kasi...
VP, yun ang sinasabi madalas, no? I spoke to some people who are involved in the mining industry. And they would also always say na pinangangalagaan naman ng mga displaced na IPs, nagbibigay kami ng trabaho, we make sure that we don't pollute the rivers. Nakabaligtaran dahil ito ang reklamo ng mga environmental defenders.
Saka ito kasi, Tito Boy, na naaabuso. Alam mo, merong requirement sa batas na konsultasyon. Pero yung konsultasyon kadalasan na ginagawa, eto reklamo to ng mga tao on the ground na lagi nating nakakausap. Ang kanilang reklamo ay parang masyadong superficial yung consultation na ginagawa. At hindi natin to ipapayag. Kaya nga sinasabi ko, ang pinakamahalaga yung mekanismo. Hindi pwede na basta ka lang nagpa-meeting, ayun na. Sisiguraduhin natin na yung tunay na boses ng mga mamamayan, pinapakinggan. Dahil
How do you do
kabahagi...
that? Yung tunay na konsultasyon ay yung sinasabi.
Kailangan talaga isa batas. When I was in Congress, I was the principal author of the Empowerment Bill. Yung Empowerment Bill, nilalayon niya, magiging mandatory. Hindi lang sa mga local government units, pero sa lahat ng mga government agencies na magkaroon talaga ng mga people's councils. Na gustong sabihin ito, hindi lang na basta ka magpapamiting. Pero yung representation sa people's councils, represented yung mga mahalagang stakeholders, and meron silang voting rights. Kabahagi sila mula sa step 1. Mula sa planning, hanggang sa implementation, hanggang sa monitoring, hanggang sa evaluation.
So ang kapangyarihan ay manggagaling doon sa People's Council na iyon.
Dapat kasi sila yung apektado eh.
Na ikukonsulta at ikukonsulta ng gobyerno at saka ng mga tao na involved sa mining industry.
Saka i-empower talaga sila. Ang pag sinabi kong i-empower sila, kailangan bago sila nagdidesisyon, sisiguraduhin natin na naiintindihan nila.
But you realize, VP, that meron din mga contributions ang mining industry.
Totoo.
Sa ekonomiya.
And meron talagang mga responsible na mga mining companies. Pero ang sinasabi ko
Let's talk about the pandemic. Sa kasalukuyan po, VP Lenny, dalawang bagay ang alam natin. Una, pinadapa tayo ng pandemic ito. More than 3 million na ang confirmed cases dito sa ating bansa ayon sa Department of Health. Sa buong mundo naman, sabi ng John Hopkins COVID-19 dashboard ay 300 million people na. Higit 50 million deaths na ang naitala sa Pilipinas and more than 5 million naman ang buong mundo. Maraming mga Pilipino ang nawalan ng trabaho, kabuhayan, at mga mahal sa buhay. Marami ang mga nasirang relasyon, mga nasirang plano at pangarap. Yan, alam natin yan. Alam natin yung viciousness noong virus. Pangalawa, alam din natin na ang virus na ito ay napaka-unpredictable. Dito sa 2 taon, maraming variants na ang ating naririnig. Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, Delta Plus, Omicron. The virus acquires genetic changes. It's another way of saying nag-mutate ang virus na ito. Paano, kailan, at kung ano ang susunod, nobody knows. Ang tanong, VP Lenny, given the unpredictability and the viciousness of this virus, kung ikaw halimbawa ang nakaupong presidente, ano ang programa mo sa COVID-19?
Ngayong Vice President pa lang ako, nag-launch na kami ng COVID Response Initiative. And ngayon, yung ginawa namin, ang pinakasadya lang talaga is to fill in the gaps. Hindi naman namin tumanda to, pero hindi pwede kasi nanonood lahat. So we shifted from one initiative to another. Nag-umpisa kami sa pag-provide ng duty sets, sinundan namin ang shuttle buses for frontliners, sumunod yung mga dormitories, hanggang tinulungan na namin yung mga community marts, etc., etc. So it was a series of so many programs. Pero we learned a lot of lessons from that. Ano yung number 1 lesson? Yung number 1 lesson, kailangan talaga yung sense of urgency. Kailangan yung sense of urgency sa pag-respond kasi every minute, every second counts. Yung sa amin, Tito Boy, yung aming naramdaman dito sa pag-respond dito, hindi pwedeng gagalaw ka lang pag perpekto mo na yung plano. Hindi eh. Ang kailangan nandiyan na, gumalaw ka na. Pag ako naging Pangulo, i-expand ko yon. Pero ako, meron na kasi akong benefit ng science, meron na akong benefit ng lessons from other countries. Alam natin kung sino mga bansa yung nag-perform better than the others. So, dapat matuto na tayo doon. Kami, we have been following all the examples of so many countries na naging maayos yung overall COVID response. And madali na para sa atin kasi meron na eh. Meron na tayong mga modelo. Susundan na lang natin. Pero ang sisiguraduhin ko lang, I will be on top of everything. Pag sinabi kong on top of everything, yung day-to-day na COVID response, ako mismo yung tututok. Sisiguraduhin ko na whole of government, all the agencies, all the local government units are working harmoniously. Kasi yun yung tingin kong naging kakulangan ngayon. Lahat naman may ginagawa, pero kulang ng konduktor. Kaya ang desisyon ng isang opisina, iba yung ginagawa ng iba, parang sobrang mixed yung messaging, sobrang mixed. Nakita natin na magsasabi ng ganitong desisyon, the following day, babawiin. Yun yung nakakadagdag sa yung anxiety ng tao.
Okay, you raised 2 points. I'm sorry, VP Lenny. Una, very, very important points. Number 1, marami kang mga leksyon na natutunan, mga modelo mula sa ibang bansa. Can you be more specific kung anong mga leksyon, anong mga modelo ang ating pinag-uusapan?
Nung iba-iba yun, Tito Boy. Kasi 2020, ano yung natutunan natin? Yung natutunan natin yung 2020, yung meron talagang mga pillars para sugpuin mo yun. Ano yung pillars? Yung testing, tracing, di ba? Saka yung management ng disease. Doon pa lang, nagkulang na tayo. Ini-insist pa din natin na hindi tayo magte-test ng marami kasi hindi naman kailangan. Yung contact tracing, 2 years after the pandemic, hindi pa din tayo nakaka-take off ng maayos. Yung mga hospitals natin, 2 years into the pandemic, kulang pa din tayo ng health workers. So sa akin, kailangan itong mga basic premises na to, alam na natin na ito yung pillars na kinakailangan natin
Do
gawin.
you do testing? Do you do all these things that you're talking about before? Because you don't know what's going to happen. Hindi mo talaga alam kung kailan ang susunod na variant. Do you do this even when there is no surge?
Depende. Ang kami talaga ginagawa namin siya, kahit nung walang surge, merong mga communities, kasi kami, Boy, meron kaming tracking system sa opisina na tinatrack namin yung lahat ng mga local government units, saan ba mataas yung cases, saan yung ganito, and gusto namin makatulong sa pag-contain. So kahit walang surge, pag nakikita namin na merong lugar na medyo mataas yung cases, nag-offer kami.
I only raise that point dahil hindi ka pwede magbigla dahil alam natin na unpredictable talaga. I mean, we know that behavior of the virus. And then, you raised another point. I will be on top, all the program, all the management of this virus. Some of your critics may say, isn't that a bit too much of micromanagement and you might be missing on a lot of things dahil nandun ka masyado sa detalye?
Boy, pag panahon ng crisis, kailangan mo mag-micromanage. Kasi buhay ng tao yung nakataya. Ako, since March of 2020, araw-araw, I am on top of all the COVID response operations of the office. At ano yun ha, hindi ako namili talaga ng trabaho. Nung kulang kami ng mga tao sa Bayanihan i-konsulta, ako mismo nagjo-duty. Ang nagjo-duty ako, yung mga unholy hours, para makatulog naman yung aming mga volunteers. Pag swab camp namin, kahit marami nagpa-positive, nandyan ako. Pag vaccine,
Let's talk about poverty. VP, tuwing eleksyon, maraming eleksyon. Madalas ang taong bayan, nakikita namin yung mga slogans, yung mga messages ng iba't ibang kandidato. Babalikan ko lamang ang ilan na may kinalaman sa poverty.
Did you
Si
take a bath
President
na?
Gloria, naalala ko yung pagkain sa bawat hapagkainan. President Erap para sa mahirap. President Aquino, kung walang kurap, walang mahirap. So, starring talaga ang mahirap pag eleksyon, sabi nga ng isang kaibigan. According to Philippine Statistics Authority, PSA, noong October 2001, 3.27 million ang walang trabaho. October 2010, 2.79 million ang walang trabaho. October 2016, 2 million ang walang trabaho. Samantala, October 2021 po, 3.5 million ang walang trabaho. Ayon naman po sa SWS, Social Weather Stations, ang ibig sabihin po nito, perception po ito. Okay? Ang ating mga kababayan na nagugutom in percentages, taking into consideration yung fluctuation ng ating population. Third quarter of 2001, 9.3%. Third quarter of 2010, 15.9%. Third quarter of 2016, 10.6%. September of 2021, nung nakaraang taon po, 10% or around 2.5 million Filipinos ang nagugutom. Ito po ang aking tanong. Sa kasalukuyan, according to PSA, meron tayong 3.5 million Filipinos na walang trabaho, jobless. 2.5 million na mga kababayan natin na nagugutom. You're applying to be president of this country. With these urgent problems of joblessness and hunger, ano po ang inyong gagawin?
Actually, boy, naglabas na kami ng Kabuhayan para sa Lahat program. Ni-roll out namin ito noong December, last month. Marami siyang components, pero bigyan mo lang akong pagkakataon na mag-run down doon. Ang pinakauna, ang aming paniniwala, kailangan talagang maibalik ang tiwala sa pamahalaan. Yun yung number one. Pag sinabi natin, kailangan ibalik ang tiwala sa pamahalaan kasi ito yung crucial element para yung business confidence sa gobyerno ay bumalik. Pag maraming investments, maraming trabaho. Paano natin ibabalik yung tiwala sa pamahalaan? Kailangan ang gobyerno tapat. Kailangan yung gobyerno maaasahan. Kailangan yung gobyerno hindi kurakot. Kailangan yung gobyerno transparent saka accountable. Yun yung number one. Yung number two, nasa Kabuhayan para sa Lahat program, kailangan natin tutukan yung mga industries na meron tayong opportunities dito. Ito yung mga local industries. Classify namin ito, boy, into three.
Okay.
Yung pinakauna, blue industries. Ang blue industries, maritime, saka fisheries. Kasi ito, archipelago yung Pilipinas. Yung lahat na binubuhos natin para sa mga kalupaan, pero mas marami yung ating katubigan. So yung opportunities nandun. Yung green economy, agriculture, saka yung mga climate jobs, saka manufacturing. Kasi yung manufacturing is an opportunity. Yung manufacturing, ito yung magbibigay ng jobs. Yung pangatlo, ang tawag namin doon, gold industries. At ito yung tech. Ito yung tech, saka yung digital industries. Kasi tingin namin at tingin ng aming team, ang laki ng opportunity nito at ito na yung future. So sa akin, dapat yung pamahalaan mag-invest dito. Ito yung pag-invest sa mga local industries. Yung pangatlo, kailangan talaga natin tulungan yung mga maliliit na mga negosyante.
Another great recruitment.
Kasi ngayong pandemic, sila talaga yung dapang-dapa. Alam natin na napakalaking percentage ng mga negosyante sa atin, mga maliliit. At sila yung nag-generate ng mga maraming trabaho para sa atin. So ako, ang proposal ko doon, dapat sana na number one, magbigay na ng conditional na stimulus grant para sa mga maliliit na negosyante. Yung kondisyon nun para wag siyang magtanggal ng mga empleyado, tulungan siya ng pamahalaan na magkaroon ng kapital para mabuhay ulit yung kanyang negosyo. Yun yung number one. Yung number two, kailangan access sa capital kahit mga low-interest loans para dun sa mga negosyo na meron namang pambayad sa loans, kailangan niya lang ng access para mabuhay niya ulit. Ang number three, kailangan talaga yung access sa, hindi lang access sa capital, pero access sa market. And sinubukan na namin to many, many times over. Halimbawa, yung ating mga farmers, kailangan gobyerno na yung bumibili ng mga produkto niya. Kasi yung gobyerno naman, kailangan niya ng pagkain para ipapamigay sa tao. Gobyerno yung pinakamalaking opportunity para sa mga maliliit natin na negosyante na makabangon ulit.
VP Lenny, urgent yung gutom. You know, it's something that's immediate. Walang makain. Ngayon, we're talking about people, 2.5 million Filipinos are hungry. So, napakinggan ko yung diskurso, yung solusyon, di ba? Naiintindihan ko yun. Pero gaano kabilis ang resulta nun?
Hindi niya mapapawi yung gutom niya.
Okay.
So,
So, meron ka ba doon sa iyong programa na may short-term, long-term
Yes.
solution?
Actually, yung trabaho, both short and long term.
Okay.
Pero yung ngayon, yung mga hindi nakakapasok kasi nakasakit, o hindi nakakapasok kasi nagsara yung
What do
mga
you do?
opisina.
What do you do?
Sa amin, boy, nagbibigay kami ng mga ayuda. Pero dapat kasi mas mekanismo agad. Mas mekanismo. Yung number one na pinopropose namin dito, maliban sa ayuda, pag sinabing ayuda, sinisiguro mo may pagkain araw-araw. Pero maliban doon, kailangan sana meron tayong unemployment insurance. Para yung mga nawawalan ng trabaho na hindi naman nila kasalanan, at least may safety net
Anong
man lang sila.
pagkakaiba, VP, ng ayuda at saka ng dole-out?
Actually, ang ayuda, boy, is dole out. Pero ito kasi, crisis situation ito eh. Parang halimbawa, binagyo yung lugar na to. Walang kuryente, walang tubig, wala
So it's
silang
an immediate
makain.
solution to
Yes.
the problem.
Pero it's short term. Ang tao, mas maa-appreciate niya kung maliban sa ayuda, bigyan mo siya ng pagkakataon makapagtrabaho. Kasi mas long term yun para sa kanya.
Let's now go to migrants, overseas Filipino workers. As of September 2019, ang estimate po ay 2.2 million OFWs worldwide, according to the Philippine Statistics Authority again. 96.8% po nito ay may mga kontrata. Ang natitira po ay ito yung mga walang kontrata. Sa remittances naman po, dahil napapag-usapan natin ito madalas, ang mga bagong bayani na ang nagbubuhay ng ating ekonomiya ay ang OFWs, bahagya, I'm not saying totally, ay 28.9 billion US dollars noong 2018, 30.1 billion US dollars noong 2019, 29.9 billion dollars noong 2020, at 25.9 billion dollars as of October 2021. Noong 2018 po, remittances sent by OFWs accounted for 11% of the total GDP of the country. Sa kabilang dako naman ito, so merong napakalaki ng contribution, napakalaki ng pera po na kanilang pinapadala dito sa Pilipinas. Sa kabilang dako po, may tinatawag na social cost. Ito yung sinasabi ng mga experts na unquantifiable.
Yes.
And that contributes to the destruction of the Filipino family.
Yes.
Ang aking tanong, VP Len, how do you balance the economic contributions of the OFWs and the unquantifiable social cost of migration that leads to the destruction of the Filipino family?
Ako again, boy, isa-segment ko yung aking sagot doon. Yung number one, dapat ang overarching principle natin. Yung mga kababayan natin, magtatrabaho sila abroad kasi yun yung gusto nila. Ang gusto ko sabihin, it is by choice and not by necessity. Ang problema kasi ngayon, kahit ayaw naman nilang iwan yung mga pamilya nila, wala silang choice. Kasi walang available na trabaho dito. So, paano paano yan mangyayari? Kailangan ayusin natin yung economy natin. Para yung mga kababayan natin na umalis, nalulungkot na sa mga pamilya nila, gustong bumalik, may babalikan. Kasi minsan, gusto naman nilang bumalik, hindi sila makabalik kasi wala silang babalikan. Halimbawa, merong mga OFWs na nag-retire na abroad, gusto nang dito mag-retire pero hindi nila maiwan yung kanilang mga tinatrabahuhan na bansa because of healthcare. Dahil hindi natin ma-offer sa kanila, yung na-offer sa kanila nung kanilang, yung kanilang bansang pinagtrabahuhan, yun yung number one. So, kailangan ayusin natin.
Okay.
Ayusin natin para hindi sila nagpapagod. Pero yung number two, yung mga umaalis at taga-abroad, dapat ay binibigyan natin sila ng pagkakataon na mas maganda yung mga trabaho na kukuha nila. And example lang nito, boy, ang dami sa atin mga seafarers. Ang dami sa atin mga seafarers. Pero pag tinignan mo, dun sa mga seafarers na umaalis, kaunting percentage lang sa kanila yung opisyal. Kaunting percentage ng opisyal, pag tinignan mo yung sweldo ng opisyal sa hindi opisyal, ang layo. So, pero ang gobyerno, meron siyang capacity na mag-provide ng programa para yung mga nag-aambisyon maging seafarers abroad. Pupunta sila, merong cadetship program para pwede silang maging opisyal. Unang-una, mas mataas yung sweldo nila. Pangalawa, mas mataas yung remittances. Di ba? Pareho din yan, yung mga domestic workers, yung mga ibang mga nagtatrabaho na paminsan pupunta doon, underemployed. Mga teachers, pero pupunta doon, mag-aalaga ng bata.
Mga doktor who choose to be
Diba?
nurses. Pero VP, pupuntahan ko yung dalawang points because you discussed about a situation where sana dumating yung panahon na choice nila mag-abroad, hindi yung napipilitan. But that's not real today. That's not real today. Let's talk about the reality today na kinakailangan, I just wanted to raise some points, kinakailangan magtrabaho abroad para masustain ang pamilya, mabuhay ang pamilya dito.
Answer!
There's another layer to this discussion. For lack of a better term, we also have dramatized, the OFWs. And I don't mean to demean the contributions of the OFWs. Na para bagang bagong bayani, which denies, the fact that they are there, hirap na hirap ang sitwasyon, etc. So, my question is, okay, let's be real. Kailangan ng trabaho. Napipilitan magtrabaho. What do you do?
Ito nga, boy, ito yung first part ng sagot, di ba? Kasi ito mas long term, gagawan mo talaga ng programa. Pero yung retraining, skills training, pwede na natin yung gawin ngayon. Pero yung pangatlo, sa Naga, meron na kaming sinimula na migrant resource office. Ito, ang attempt nito ay mabawasan yung social cost.
Okay.
Meaning to say, merong pagkakataon na binibigay sa mga families na naiiwan na pinapaintindi sa kanila anong klase ng trabaho, yung anytime na gusto nila makontak yung kanilang mga pamilya, yung perang ipapadala sa kanila, meron may mga financial literacy program. So, buong programa.
Pero VP, to be very extreme about it, do you look forward to a day when, I'm not even talking about choices at napilitan, na walang OFW?
Parang imposible yun.
Imposible yun.
Imposible yun.
Oo.
Kasi meron naman talaga mga Pilipino na hindi naman kailangan mag-abroad, pero gusto nila.
But you realize also the cost.
Yes, pero ito kasi, ako kasi pag ginusto mo, yung preparation doon sa social cost, masanda ka.
Okay.
Pero iba pag napilitan ka lang. Iba pag napilitan ka lang. Halimbawa, marami yung iiwanan yung mga anak nila na bagong panganak o mga baby pa. Pero iiwan nila, mag-aalaga sila ng ibang bata kasi kailangan eh.
At pagbalik, hindi na sila kilala ng kanilang
Hindi
mga
na sila
anak.
kilala.
And that's unquantifiable.
And nung nag-aabogado ako, boy, ang daming mga naghihiwalay ng mga asawa because of the long separation.
Let's talk about social media. Ito naman, pag-usapan natin ang internet at ang social media. Pero dito tayo, VP Lenny, pumunta. I want to talk about pornography. 2021 Year in Review Report ng Pornhub. Isang online adult video streaming website sa internet. Sabi dito, ang mga Pinoy spend 11 minutes, 30 seconds watching porn. making the Philippines top 1 na lampasan ho natin dito ang Japan at ang France. Some of the known social media sites, apps, ang Twitter ho ngayon, medyo nagiging source na rin ng porn, Snapchat, and may mga Facebook groups na are being used as alternative porn site. So Billie Eilish is an American Grammy Award-winning songwriter, singer, 11 years old. She got exposed to porn, she got addicted, she indulged in sex, multiple cultures, and yun ang naging standard. Akala niya violent ang sex, and in her words, porn destroyed her brain. She felt devastated. She had nightmares, sleep paralysis. My mental health, ika niya, was damaged. Last December, she turned 20. Kilala to ng mga bata. And she's now on the road to reform. Tanong, nalaman at na-confirm mo, hypothetical ito, nalaman at na-confirm mo na ang iyong anak ay addicted to cyber porn. Bilang magulang, ano ang gagawin mo? At bilang presidente, again, because you're applying for the highest position of the land, bilang presidente, paano ito makakaapekto sa iyong pulisiya on the welfare and protection of children?
Ako number 1 bilang nanay. Bilang nanay, ang pinaka-priority ko, gumaling yung anak ko. Kasi sakit siya eh. Gumaling yung anak ko, sisiguraduhin ko na tatanda siya na hindi niya dala-dala yung trauma galing doon sa pinagdaanan niya. Pero bilang presidente, ang dami kong pwedeng gawin. Yung isang wala sa atin ngayon, boy, wala tayong batas na nagsisik to make accountable etong mga social media sites. Ang gusto kong sabihin, kung anong ilalabas sa Facebook, kung anong ilalabas sa Twitter, kung anong ilalabas sa YouTube, whether porn yan, whether fake news, wala tayong control. So para sa akin, kailangan magkaroon tayo ng batas. Kinicriminalize natin. Pinipinalize natin yung mga social media sites for them to be accountable and to be responsible. Na hindi dapat to accessible sa mga tao na wala pa siyang kahandaan mag-process. And in this case, yung example mo, mga bata na nagiging addicted to that because it's accessible. So dapat maging accountable, dapat maging responsible yung mga social media sites. Sisiguraduhin nila na yung content accessible lang sa mga tao na kayang ma-digest yung content na yun.
Pero may responsibility dito ang magulang.
Merong responsibility ang magulang. Kaya nga...
In the discussion about access to the sites.
Kaya nga ako, boy, ang paniniwala ko talaga, lahat, hindi lang dito sa isyong ito, pero ang paniniwala ko talaga sa lahat na pinaka-susi para maganda yung operationalization saka implementation ng mga policy, lagi talaga siyang pinagtutulungan ng mga community.
Okay, I get that. Yung sinasabi niyo pong control, isn't that censorship?
Hindi yung censor. Hindi
I mean, you're talking about control, di ba? You're talking about control. Isn't that...
Pero yung sa akin, hindi control, pero ginagawa mo silang accountable. Na dapat sila ay sinisiguro nila na yung mga lalabas sa kanilang social media platform ay ang makaka-access nun yung mga tao na tama na yung mental, saka psychological, saka
Can that be legislated?
Yes.
I mean, knowing...
Actually, ito yung pinaglalaban ngayon ni Maria Reza. Ito yung content na pinaglalaban niya after she won, even before she won the Nobel Peace Prize. Na yung social media platforms have been abused in many varied ways already. In many countries.
But you have to address the abuses because napakarami rin ng magandang nagawa ng social media at ng internet.
Kaya nga abuse siya kasi dapat sana, di ba dapat sana yung social media, maganda yung naidulot niya sa atin kasi bigla na lang that the world has become so small na everything is in our grasp. Pero dapat kasi inaayos natin yung accountability. Accountability ng mga tao, saka mga organisasyon, saka mga negosyo, na merong control sa content na nilalabas nila. Ang gusto ko sabihin,
That's why yung control sa content to me, it's a bit, it's bordering on, doesn't it border on censorship?
Pero sa akin kasi, boy,
Doesn't that infringe into the freedom of...
it depends on how the law will be passed. What the version of the law will be.
How would it be in your administration?
Pero sa akin, boy, mas sisiguraduhin ko
okay.
na halimbawa,
We all snip now and
merong porn
is
sa aking
adorable.
site.
Just
Hindi
like
siya
a frog
accessible
will
sa mga
pop.
bata. So, ako hindi ako digital person. Pero I'm sure there should be a way. Kasi ngayon naman, meron na mga apps, di ba? Meron na ngayon mga apps na yung mga magulang can control what their children can access. So, it should be a collaboration between the social media platforms, the families, schools, pati yung pamahalaan. So it is very doable.
It's doable within a certain period of time. Pero ngayon, pag tiningnan mo kasi, VP, ang social media ecosystem, where would you start?
Saka hindi siya static.
Okay.
Di ba? Yung social media of 10 years ago is so different from the social media
today.
now. So dapat talaga, boy, yung batas ay hindi din static. Dapat sinasabayan niya yung demands of the time. Pero ang klaro dapat sa isip ng mga legislators na ang pinaka-primary purpose is the protection of the people.
Especially children.
Especially.
Let's now go to abortion. Rape-related abortion. Sabi ng pinsan, Philippine Safe Abortion Advocacy Network at Engender Rights Incorporated. Ito po yung mga data na ating nakuha. A Filipino woman or girl is raped every 75 minutes. About 1 in every 8 Filipino women who resorts to abortion is a rape survivor. 70 women induce abortion every hour. Complications from unsafe abortion is one of the 5 leading causes of maternal death and leading cause of hospitalization in our country. In 2012 alone, 610,000 Filipino women induced abortion. Over 100,000 women were hospitalized and 1,000 women died due to unsafe abortion complications. Since there is no access to safe abortion in the country, at least 3 women die every day from unsafe abortion complications. And based on statistics, the number of induced abortions increases proportionately with the increasing Philippine population, which means that the number will keep increasing as we will, if we don't act on it. Kasi nga, nagfa-fluctuate yung numbers. My question is it time to enact a law on abortion that would allow pregnant rape victims the choice of legal and safe abortion?
Ako, alam mo, I will be very honest with you, boy. This is a topic that I'm very conflicted about. Because of the data that you have mentioned. I was a member of an NGO na talagang tinutulak yung pag-decriminalize, at least pag-decriminalize ng abortion, para na iiwasan yung unsafe na mga ginagawa. Pero the reason why I'm so conflicted about it, kasi ako, my faith teaches me na bawal talaga yung magpatay. Ang ina-allow lang sa atin, boy, na parang yung legal abortion kung endangered yung life ng mother. Kung endangered yung life ng mother ay ina-allow in very rare instances. And I think that should continue. Pero having said that, kontra ako sa abortion. Pero sa akin, bukas akong pag-usapan yung decriminalization ng abortion. I would like to listen to more people about it. I've listened to so much already. Pero it is something that we should, mahirap yung balancing act eh. Kasi pag nakita natin yung ipinaglalaban ng mga sumusulong sa decriminalization ng abortion, meron naman silang dahilan. Kasi pag bawal, kasi nagiging underground siya eh. And pag naging underground siya, mas unsafe. Di ba mas unsafe kasi dahil hindi mo pinapayag, marami yung nagre-resort sa mas mga practices na hindi talaga siya medically safe. So sa akin, while I'm open to discussing decriminalization decriminalizing abortion. If you ask me now if I am for or against it, I'm against abortion.
Unstoppable force.
Okay, pero may nasabi ka kanina na in certain instances, VP, na pag nasa danger ang
Danger.
buhay ng nanay, can you...
It is allowed.
It is allowed. Can you expound on it?
Pag nasa danger kasi yung buhay ng nanay, ang practice
nice,
talaga,
baby.
boy, ang pinakauna, sinasave talaga yung nanay. And I think that should continue.
But doesn't that go against what the church says? Dahil ang church walang buts at walang ifs eh. Ang simbahan sinasabi, abortion, hindi.
Pero sa akin...
Because you
kasi,
mentioned faith.
Kaya nga sinasabi ko na contentious siya eh. Contentious siya kasi if you're involved in the day-to-day, like I was, when I was still a practicing alternative lawyer, you come across so many victims of rape, you come across so many unsafe pregnancies.
Okay.
Lalo na, boy, kasi kadalasan yung biktima ng rape, mga minors. And talagang pag minor nagbuntis ay talagang laging questionable yung safety nung nagbubuntis.
Dahil ang katawan ng minor ay hindi pang nanay pa.
Ano talaga? In fact, we're doing a program with UNDP on teenage pregnancies. And ako, I would have to admit, I'm so unconflicted. My faith tells me that abortion is not allowed.
Have you had discussions with priests? With your counselors?
A lot of discussions.
Okay.
And,
So you've expressed your views that in as much as you are against abortion, you're conflicted and
I'm
you're work in progress.
Totoo. Kaya nga sinasabi ko, boy, I'm open
Unstoppable
to
force.
more discussions about it. Kasi ako, paniniwala ko, masama siya. Pero yung realities kasi, and the lessons from other countries also, kaya ako, I know of a lot of friends from the NGO community who are really pushing for decriminalization of
VP,
abortion.
meron nga mga kwento, isang doktor na nagbuntis dahil nirape siya ng nagpaaral sa kanya. May isang babae na may dwarfism na buntis because unsafe din ang kanyang abortion. Maraming mga kwentong ganun. At saka kung babalikan natin yung statistika na may kinalaman sa mga bansa na dati, mga Katoliko. I mean, the Catholic countries. Brazil, kung taga saan ang ating Santo Papa, at marami pang mga bayan ay bukas na. On certain conditions. Meron nga mga bayan na upon request of the woman, ay pwede ang abortion.
Doon naman ako,
Hindi
boy.
ka pwede doon?
Hindi ako pwede doon.
Because that's
Ako,
arbitrary.
klaro yun sa akin. Klaro yun sa akin. Kasi para sa akin, yung pagbubuntis is a responsibility.
Pero hindi ba pagpapahalaga yan doon sa babae? Doon sa, that's women's rights, you know?
Totoo. And talaga yung women's advocates, women's rights advocates, boy, talagang merong mga diskusyon about this. Pero sa akin kasi, boy, napaka-klaro sa akin nun eh.
Let's talk about drugs. And i-quote ko lamang ang sinabi ni President Duterte. And I quote, I feel so bad about, all of these things. Kasi nalaman ko, paano ko makontrol in 3 to 6 months. This was a declaration, I think, early on or in the middle of the presidency. Ang mga general sa police nandyan, tapos yung mga Bureau of Customs na inaasahan ko, di ay nakadroga, how will I succeed in nakadroga? Alam ko na nagkamali talaga. Now, magtanong kayo, ang Pilipinas, are we or are we not a narcotics country? Yes, we are, sabi ng Presidente. Sabi ko, tama yung silang mga kritiko ko. Sabi mo, noong nag-presidente ka, 3 to 6 months, hindi ko alam. Hindi ko alam, pagpasok ko, Davao lang kasi ako, so ang template ko Davao, may droga. Pero sabi ko, maglaro ka dun, patay ka talaga. Give me another 6 months. That self-imposed time of 3 to 6 months, well, I did not realize how severe and how serious the problem of drug menace in this republic until I became president. My question, VP Lenny, you are applying to be, the president of the country. Ito gusto ko malaman. How much do you know about illegal drugs in this country? At gaano kalala ito? Uulitin ko yung tanong ni Presidente. Are we not a narco country? Depende sa iyong kaalaman tungkol sa problema ng illegal drugs. Ano ang programa mo lang?
I was given the opportunity to be ICAD co-chair. Yung ICAD, yung Interagency Task Force. for 18 days. Pero those 18 days gave me enough opportunity to assess what was wrong with the anti-drug program. And at the end of the 18 days, naglabas kami ng comprehensive na assessment of what was wrong. And naglabas kami ng mga ano yung pakiramdam namin na dapat gawin. 5 points ito, boy. Yung pinakauna, how to maximize ICAD as the interagency task force. Ang daming punto nito, we don't have time. Pero example lang po. The reason why sobrang strict level enforcement, yung anti-drug campaign, na dapat sana full of government approach. Nakakatulong doon sa much emphasis on strict level enforcement kasi yung chairman is PDEA. Para sa akin, dapat sana yung chairman ng ICAD should be DDB, the Dangerous Drugs Board. Kasi yung Dangerous Drugs Board is policy making. Pag DDB yung mag-chairman, mas ang chance na mas whole of government approach yung gagawin, mas malaki. So yun yung number 1. Yung number 2, pag tiningnan mo talaga yung ating datos, hindi siya kumpleto. In fact, when I was in ICAD, ongoing pa lang yung survey kung ilan ba talaga yung mga drug users. Natapos na yung survey after I was ICAD chair. Pero kahit meron na tayong datos na ganon, sobrang raw and sobrang basic, hindi nga natin alam kung ano nang, yung mga nakuhuli, yung mga nagsusurrender.
VP, I'll let you continue. Pero tama ka doon. Kasi kahit yung datos ng Dangerous Drugs Board, I did extensive research for this interview, ang kanilang basehan lamang ay yung mga facilities na non-government. So, kung titingnan mo, since 20 years ago, wala ka masyadong makukuha. Go ahead, please.
Ngayon nga, ang dami nating surrenderies, ang daming nahuli. Hindi nga natin alam ano na yung interventions na ginawa nila. Ang iba meron datos, ang iba wala. So yung number 2, data. Yung number 3, pag tiningnan mo yung budget for the entire anti-drug program, a large bulk of the budget is on strict enforcement.
Okay.
This is wrong in so many instances. Unang-una, alam natin na kahit patulan natin ang patulan yung mga street level na mga drug users, the small-time drug pushers, kung hindi natin tinututukan yung constriction ng supply, tuloy-tuloy lang.
Number 3 po yan. Anong number 4?
Ang number 4, alisin na yung pagkakas.
Okay, number 5.
Ang number 5, dapat yung mga law enforcement agencies natin, itutok na yung kanilang energies sa supply constriction, yung mga drug pushers.
Okay. To the best of your knowledge, Vice President Lenny, are we a narco country? Why do you
The
say so?
drug problem is huge. And ako naniniwala ako na we have to pursue it with as much vigor. Pero there is a way of doing it.
As President of the Republic of the Philippines, can you give yourself a deadline? Can you solve the drug problem in 3, 6, 9, 12 months? Would you dare say it?
I won't. Pero ang commitment ko, boy, na we will be much better off after 6 years. Ako, ang drug problem, grabe. Kailangan natin ng mga legislation. Hindi nga natin mahiwalay yung user sa kapusher. Iba yung intervention doon. Dapat ma-institutionalize natin yung community-based na rehabilitation. Kasi doon sa mga habitual users na hindi naman mga addicted to it, kailangan community-based yun.
You know, my question started with actually, how much do you know? Gaano mo kakakilala ang isang drug dependent, halimbawa? Would you have an idea? Alam mo kung bakit na-addict ang isang tao? Because to me, it's an issue of what? Loneliness, happiness, broken families. It's a search for, it's a journey towards something. They talk about 4 to 6 hours kind of happiness, seizure, may mga peak, may mga follow-up, all kinds of drugs. How much do you know about drugs?
It is just like any other addiction which should be treated. Kaya sa akin, para sa akin, ay yung mga users talaga, kailangan na itong tingnan natin from the science.
Okay. Let's talk about the Philippines. Upang, here's the data from the Bureau of the Treasury. Nang matapos ang termino ng President, ang utang ng Pilipinas ay 2.6 trillion. Pagkatapos ng President Arroyo, ang umakyat na ito ng 5.1 trillion. Umabot sa 6.5 trillion pesos ang matapos ang termino ni President Aquino. As of end November 2021, ngayong Administrasyong Duterte, total Philippine debt is at 11.93 trillion pesos. Naririnig ko ito at alam ko naririnig ko natin ito, hindi ka pa pinapanganak, hindi pa pinapanganak ang isang bata, nagbabayad ka na ng utang dahil sa laki ng utang ng Pilipinas. Ang aking tanong, kung papalarin ka, Vice President Lenny, na manalo bilang presidente ng Pilipinas, paano mo babayaran ang utang nito?
Ako, number one, I will honor the commitments. Kasi nakasalala yung integrity ng bansa natin. Pero sisiguraduhin ko.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sisiguraduhin ko na yung inutang natin, lalo in the last few years, na doon talaga tumambak yung utang natin, sisiguraduhin ko na yung perang inutang natin ay napunta siya sa mga bagay na ang return sa atin 1,000-fold. Kasi kung nag-umutang tayo, tapos yung return sa atin ay hindi naman malaki, bakit pa tayo umutang? So ako susuriin ko lahat na utang na ginawa, saan ba yung ginastos, sisiguraduhin ko na mapunta siya sa mga dapat papuntahan. Alam mo, boy, hindi naman masama umutang. Hindi masama ang umutang kung kinakailangan talaga ito. And as I have said, yung returns nito sa atin, mas malaki kesa dun sa inutang mo. Pero masama ang utang kung ito ay napunta sa korupsyon. Masama ang utang kung ito napunta sa mga bagay na hindi naman yung karamihan sa mga Pilipino ang makikinabang. So yun sa akin, having said that, pag tiningnan natin yung sinasabi natin na debt to GDP ratio, nagsimula tayo pre-pandemic 40, if I am not mistaken, 44%. Yung debt to GDP ratio. Gusto sabihin nun, meron pa tayong elbow room utang. So, dahil nangailangan tayo ng maraming pera during the pandemic, okay na umutang. Pero ngayon, pag tiningnan natin ang debt to GDP ratio natin, nasa 60% na. Wala na tayong elbow room. Ang gustong sabihin, more than 60%, delikado na tayo na baka hindi natin mabayaran. So ano yung dapat natin gawin? Una, ayusin natin na yung mga inutang natin mapunta sa mabuti. Ang number 2, kailangang mag-exert tayo ng maraming effort mapataas yung GDP natin. Mapapataas natin yung GDP natin. Babalik ako dun sa unang tinanong mo about jobs, about economy. Aayusin natin yung pamahalaan. Aayusin natin yung mga institusyon. Aayusin natin yung tiwala ng tao sa pamahalaan. Kasi yun lang yung paraan kung paano natin mapapalakas ulit yung ating GDP, ang ating growth. So, yun yung mga kailangan gawin.
You mentioned about corruption. There is an estimate that 20% of the national budget goes to corruption. Your comment?
Totoo yun. And sa akin, boy, it is not enough that I say na hindi ako magiging kurap. Pero ang sasabihin ko lang, ang commitment ko pag ako presidente na sisiguraduhin ko na ma-legislate yung mga mechanisms to prevent corruption.
Okay.
Ano yung mga mechanisms na yun? Making sure that all government procurement processes are transparent. Nag-file ako ng bill nito, full disclosure bill. Even without need of request from the people, yung lahat na ginagastos ng gobyerno, lahat na kontratang pinapasukan, dapat available yun to the public.
VP, paano mo babayaran? During your administration, would you do something like yung ginagawa na 20% of the national budget actually goes to debt management?
Kinakailangan. Pero
Kasi maganda raw tayong debtor. Yun ang aking lumalabas sa research. Hindi tayo masyadong pinauutang tayo dahil nagbabayad naman daw tayo.
oo. Ay, kung ako naalala ko kasi economic student ako noong 1986 when the EDSA revolution happened, this is the same question. Kasi grabe yung utang ng Pilipinas, pero tayo, ginapang natin eh.
Yeah, but that was less than 30 billion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pero ginapang natin yon. Ginapang natin, pinakita natin na we will honor all our debts. Nakiusap tayo sa mga nagpautang sa atin, nabigyan tayo ng mas malaking elbow room para mabayaran natin. And yung ating standing sa international community, na-regain natin dahil we honored our commitments. So ngayon, kung obligado tayo to honor our commitments, pero kakabulin natin yung mga inutang natin saan ba yung napunta.
Excellent addition
Sisiguraduhin
to your
natin na napunta yun sa mabuti. Yun, yung
And we make sure that we don't get trapped. I know Uganda as a country denies this and China na isang araw gumising na lamang, di umano na ang isang airport ay pag-aari na ng China, ang karanasan ng Laos at ang karanasan ng Sri Lanka na may mga ports na pag-aari na ng pinagkakautangan nila.
Ayaw natin mangyari yun sa atin.
That's right. Oo, kaya ang sinasabi mo, dapat alam kung saan mapupunta ito. So, are you talking again about mechanisms? Are you talking about...
Yung sinasabi ko kanina, yung mechanisms against corruption, yung transparency, accountability.
No, but that can also apply
Yes.
to debt management.
Totoo. Kasi ito,
Another great recruit for you.
ito yung parati kong ine-explain sa mga kausap ko, boy. Na tayo mga tao, ang parati kong ang pinapakita dito, pag kumakanta tayo sa banyo, kahit sintonado, okay. Kasi walang nakikinig eh.
Let's talk about the West Philippine Sea, VP Lenny. Sa kasalukuyan, ang Spratly Islands. We're not claiming the whole of the Spratly Islands. To be very specific, ang kasama sa West Philippine Sea ay ang Kalayaan Islands Group.
You're on top of the
At
mountain.
merong mga isla po, Subi, Mischief Reefs, na natayuan na po ng mga hangars, underground storage, missile, shelters, radar, arrays, and other facilities ng China. Noong July 12, 2016, naglabas ng desisyon ang Permanent Court of Arbitration, PCA po, pabor sa Pilipinas sa issue ng West Philippine Sea. Pero despite this, tuloy pa rin ang Pinas pagtatayo ng mga artificial islands at infrastructure sa mga teritoryong inaangkin nila na atin. Tuloy din tayo sa pagpa-file ng diplomatic protests. As of December of 2021, we have filed 241 protests, diplomatic protests. Sinagot naman tayo ng China 152 times. Tanong, dahil pag ikay pinalad na maging presidente, you will also be the chief architect of foreign policy. If all diplomatic efforts fail, bilang presidente, do you think, VP Lenny, the Philippines is strong enough and prepared to fight a defensive war against China to protect our territorial sovereignty?
Ako paniniwala ko, boy, hindi natin kailangan dumating sa puntong yon. Unang-una, meron tayong arbitral
Stay
ruling
safe, minion.
na pabor sa atin. Ang pinakabuod ng arbitral ruling na yon, atin ang West Philippine Sea. Dahil atin yon, ipaglalaban natin yon. Pero having said that, ang laging punto, ang focus ng lahat ng efforts, ano yung makakabuti sa best interest ng Pilipino, ano yung makakabuti sa best interest ng bansa. Hindi lang ito sovereignty, boy, pero kabuhayan ito eh. Kabuhayan ng ating mangingisda. Ngayon, dadating na tayo sa time na magkakaproblema tayo sa supply ng kuryente. Ito yung, di ba, yung resource na manggagaling dito sa West
Victory is
Philippine
near.
Sea.
Just a
Parang
little bit
ito yung sustainability natin as a country. So having said that, dapat pinaglalaban natin. Una, I am all for nurturing our very important relationship with China. Pero that relationship with China should be based on mutual respect and adherence to international law. Yun yun sa akin. Pangalawa, yung para sa akin, that decision of the arbitral court of tribunal, we should leverage that para yung coalition of nations na kasama natin sa pag-protect ng West Philippine Sea, mabuo natin. Kasi kung hindi tayo gumagalaw, bakit naman aasahan natin yung iba na gumalaw? So para sa akin, boy, napakalaking win yung ating pinanalunan nung 2016. Maraming mga bansa na naghihintay kung anong gagawin natin. Hindi tayo kailangan pumasok sa giyera. Ang kailangan lang natin, mag-enter tayo into alliances with traditional and emerging partners, allies, para tulungan tayo sa pag-protect ng West
VP Lenny,
Philippine Sea.
ang International Tribunal Court ay inimbitahan lamang because you can only invite a country.
Yes.
Ang nangyari, tinanggihan ng China, ayokong mag-participate. So, may mga kritiko na nagsasabing, paano kayo nanalo? Wala naman kayong kalaban doon sa arbitration. At ang isa pa dito ay, ang sinasabi ng China ay infirm ang inyong reklamo. At saka ang inyong mga allegations ay hindi totoo. Tapos, yun ang inyong kinakatigan. Ang gusto namin, bilateral talks.
Alam mo, boy, ang tagal ko nang sinasabi na sa issue ng West Philippine Sea, hindi magiging favorable sa Pilipinas ang bilateral talks. Kasi napakalaking bansa ng China. Yung sa akin, yung multilateral na pag-uusap, yung angkat natin ng kaso sa international arbitral court, ito talaga yung mechanism para meron tayo ng laban.
VP, so tuloy-tuloy lamang yun. Nagpo-protesta tayo, pero they continue to build facilities, halimbawa, doon sa ating West Philippine Sea. So, what happens? Kasi ang pinupunto ko ay mali tayong bayan. And I'm also against war. Pero huwag natin kalimutan, 79, there was that bloody border war between China and Vietnam. So, minsan walang kinalaman ang laki ng bansa kung ang pinaglalaban ay sovereignty. Pagkatao na natin to eh.
Pero sa akin na, boy, ang dami natin pwedeng gawin. Unang-una, kailangan pinapalakas natin yung ating defense. Pinapalakas natin yung ating defense, naglalaan tayo ng pera para siguraduhin na yung kinakailangan natin para depensahan yung sarili natin ay kaya natin. Pero having said that again, sa atin yung kasi low-hanging fruit na to leverage that decision to form a coalition of nations. Para ang coalition of nations, mas malakas yun kaysa mag-isa lang tayo. And yun, kaya ko sinasabi low-hanging fruit, kasi willing yung mga bansa. Willing yung mga bansa.
What countries are you talking about? Countries are also involved in the South China Sea. Napakalaga po ng South China Sea na diskusyon dahil over $5 trillion trade ang dumadaan dyan sa
Totoo,
pathway na yun.
kaya nga, boy, kung nakikita mo ngayon, sino ba yung mga nag-i-interest? Aside from those directly affected. Kasi those directly affected nung mga...
We're talking about Brunei, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam. Yes.
Aside from that, kung nakikita mo ngayon, meron ng bagong coalition na mo US, Australia.
Dahil ito yung may mga negosyo na dumadaan.
Oo. Pero ito, kaya nga, sila nga mismo, hindi solo eh. Sila nga mismo, ginagawa vision.
Welcome back, Commander.
I'd like to talk to you, VP Lenny, about the constitutional provision on president qualification. You are applying to be the President of the Republic of the Philippines. It's a complex, gargantuan job. Napakalaki ng trabaho. Why? Because a president is the head of government. You are the chief architect of foreign policy. You're commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Philippines. You sign budgets, manage finance. You appoint justices recommended by the Judicial and Bar Council. You confer the National Artist Award. Manage disasters, pandemic, fights, drug war. Head of your political party, has power over aliens, has power of eminent domain, practices general supervision over local governments, and pardon convicts, among others. Sinabi ko lamang po ito dahil napaka-complex ng trabaho bilang isang presidente. Samantala, ang ating saligang batas, Article 7, Section 2 of the 1987 Constitution, ay nagsasaad na ang qualifications para maging isang presidente ay ang mga sumusunod. Number 1, natural-born Filipino, registered voter, must be able to read and write, 40 years of age, on the day of the election, must have resided in the Philippines 10 years before the election. Ang aking tanong, VP Lenny, napapanahon na ba para amyendahan ang probisyon na ito sa saligang batas? Oo, hindi, at bakit?
Ako po hindi.
You want me to hang you?
Actually, it's a very contentious provision. Marami tayong mga kilala na nagsasabi, bakit naman ganyan ka-minimum yung requirements ng pagpapapangulo? Pero ako kasi, binasa ko. Binasa ko yung mga diskusyon, yung mga debate nung framers ng 1987 Constitution. And yung pinakadahilan kung bakit ganito minimal yung qualifications na binibigay. Kasi gustong bigyan ng pagkakataon kahit yung hindi... Alam mo, dito kasi sa Pilipinas, ang iba hindi natatapos sa pag-aral dahil walang opportunity. So ayaw nating isara yung daan para sa mga gaya nila. So ito, while merong mga iba't ibang pagtingin tungkol dito, yung sa akin, naiintindihan ko kung bakit ganon yung mga requirements na nilagay. Na totoo, we would have wished na ang Pangulo is better prepared. Pero sa atin kasi parang we put a lot of premium on not closing the doors on people who have not been given the opportunity to have enjoyed the same privileges that others had. So yun yung dahilan. And ako, I agree with them. I agree with them. Pero yung sa akin lang, boy, siguro yung dapat pagtuunan natin ng pansin. Baguhin talaga yung klase ng politika na namumuo. Kasi over the years, yung klase talaga ng politika na namumuo, yun yung hindi nagbibigay ng malaking access dun sa mga wala. Dahil grabe yung patronage, dahil magastos masyado yung eleksyon. Pag ganito at ganito yung klase ng politikang namumuo, yung mga wala, hindi nabibigyan ng pagkakataon.
I hear you, Lenny. Pero puntahan ko lamang yung sinabi ko ng premium na para makapag-participate ang marami. Because that's the spirit of the law. It's democratizing participation. Malay mo, si tatay ay potensyal na maging presidente ng Pilipinas. Pero may premium din tayo, VP Lenny, na naalala ko to, ang diploma napakahalaga. Hindi display sa sala. Ang nanay, madalas sinasabi, nasaan na ang diploma mo?
Yun na yung pinagyayabang
Yun,
sa mga magulang.
oo, napakahalaga sa atin yun. Dahil kung yung premium ang pag-uusapan natin, bakit yung premium na yun wala doon sa mga kwalifikasyon? Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago raised that point, no? The late good senator. At sinabi niya, ang police officer nga hinahanapan na dapat graduate ka. Presidente pa kaya ng Pilipinas? Reason why I have to enumerate the specific jobs
Ako
of a president.
naiintindihan kita po. Pero alam mo, iba-iba kasi yung dahilan kung bakit hindi nakapagtapos.
Unstoppable force.
Kung hindi ka nakapagtapos despite the many opportunities given to you, kasalanan mo na
Pero
yun.
hindi naman natin kasi
Pero,
pwedeng...
yun na nga.
Diba?
Kaya hindi mo, dahil
natin
hindi
pwedeng
mo pwedeng
i-qualify yun.
i-delineate, hindi mo pwedeng alisan ng pagkakataon yung mga hindi nakapagtapos dahil walang-wala.
It's not in the Constitution of Turkey, for example. Pero meron silang batas ngayon na nagsasabing dapat may higher education. Pero we are aware, halimbawa, na sa Great Britain, kailangan miyembro ka ng parliament. MP ka bago ka maging prime minister. Meron namang mga bansa, like France, ang isa sa mga requirements, may bank account ka. So, sinasabi ko lamang ito, VP, dahil as a country's president, you can initiate a move na para man amyendahan, maaari. I'm not saying that you should do it. Para lamang, dahil napaka-complex, napakahirap na ng buhay. 1987 is very different from 2001.
Totoo. Pero sa akin, boy, para sa akin, siguro down the road, pwede yung pag-usapan. Pero sa akin kasi, yung accessibility na makapag-participate, napakahalaga nun sa akin. Kahit wala kang pera, kahit hindi ka nakapagtapos, basta yung reason mo naman dahil sa kawalan.
But isn't that so ideal?
Ako, we can always dream for better things eh. Ako para sa akin, ang mga kailangan natin ngayong i-legislate, paano ba natin mapapabuti yung ating political system? Such that yung political system natin, yung nagpo-produce ng mga kandidato na karapat-dapat.
Paano?
Ang daming kailangan gawin. Ang daming kailangan.
Saan ka mag-uumpisa?
Alam mo, marami ng panukalang batas na final sa Congress over the years. Kahit nung nasa 16th Congress ako, na iba-iba yung mga pananaw kung paano siya aayusin. Pero ako, it's high time that we assemble all those who are proposing.
We're now done with our 10 questions.
Unstoppable force.
Ngayon naman po, punta na tayo doon sa personal issue-based question
Okay.
para po sa iyo. Sa isang talumpati before the Philippine Military Academy, alumni,
problem.
in Malacanang, October 2018 po ito, President Duterte said, and I quote, "Sa totoo lang, even her, referring to you, even her public statements, I don't mean to offend the lady. She's very good. She's gentle. Pero mahina talaga si Lenny. Mali-mali ang, medyo mahina ang Hindi mahina ang utak, pumasa ng bar. Mahina sa diskarte. Your reaction in 60 seconds and I don't follow up.
Yung diskarte, nakikita yon hindi sa salita, kundi sa gawa. Yung diskarte sa ordinaryo natin na pang-araw-araw na buhay. Ito yung ability mo na gumawa ng paraan. Ito yung ability mo magtrabaho ng maayos despite the difficulties. Ako, pinakita ko over the years, boy, na yung mga difficulties, mga roadblocks na tinapon sa aking daan, nalagpasan ko yung lahat dahil sa diskarte. Ako, in many, many instances, and I can cite a few, pag merong sakuna, merong krisis, sino ba yung unang nasa ground? Kami. Nung nagmarawi siege, maraming mga bagyo na dumaan, yung lindol, kami yung nandun. Nung in-offer sa akin yung ICAD, lahat na tao nakapaligid sa akin, sinasabi sa akin, huwag mo yung tanggapin kasi trap yan. Pero I felt that it was an opportunity for me to make a difference.
Maraming salamat. Now, we have a 60-second political fast talk. Let's begin. Vicky, Lenny, bakit hindi dapat iboto si Bongbong Marcos?
Number one, sinungaling. Pangalawa, in the difficult moments, hindi siya nagpapakita.
Si Isko, bakit hindi namin, si Mayor Isko, bakit hindi namin iboto?
Hindi klaro yung paninindigan sa maraming bagay.
Ping Lacson,
Maraming salita, pero kulang sa on-the-ground na gawa.
Vicky, Lenny, bakit hindi namin dapat iboto si Manny Pacquiao, si Senator Manny Pacquiao?
Ito malungkot ito, boy, pero yung kabutihan ng loob kasi sa atin hindi sapat.
Bakit ikaw ang dapat namin iboto?
Ako, boy, pinakita sa nitong krisis na to and many other crises in the past na ang mga babaeng leader nagsashine during crisis. And ako, pinakita ko yan sa maraming trabaho namin dito sa UP. Marami kaming mga krisis na nalagpasan with flying colors. Sabi ko nga, kung yung 2016 hanggang 2022,
Here is my final question, answerable also in 60 seconds. March 19, 2018, President Duterte withdrew the Philippines from the Rome Statute. When the withdrawal took effect, March 17 ito, 2019, ang Pilipinas po ay hindi na naging miyembro ng International Criminal Court. Ang withdrawal, nangyari po ito matapos i-anunsyo ng then ICC Prosecutor Fatou Bensouda ang pagbubukas ng preliminary examination sa Pilipinas with respect to the alleged crimes against humanity na nagaganap sa bansa dahil sa war on drugs. The President threatened to arrest the ICC prosecutor if she conducts activities here in the Philippines because we are no longer an ICC member and the ICC has no right to do any investigating. On November 10, 2021, the Philippine government requested a deferral of the ICC's investigation under the principle of complementarity, claiming that the country had begun its own investigation. In other words, the current ICC prosecutor, Karim Khan, in a document dated November 18, sinabi niya that they will temporarily suspend its investigation into the Philippines as it assesses the scope and effect of the government's request for deferral that cited the investigations being done by the Department of Justice. Human rights and victim advocacy groups are urging the ICC to proceed with the investigation to not further delay the justice for the victims. VP Lenny, in 60 seconds, hypothetical ang aking tanong. Presidente ka ng Pilipinas, sumulat ang ICC prosecutor na si Karim Khan at nagre-request na siya at ang kanyang team ay pumunta dito sa Pilipinas para umpisahan na ang preliminary investigation sa di umano'y mga krimen laban sa isang katauhan na may kinalaman sa war on drugs ni President Duterte. Ano po ang inyong gagawin? Papayagan niyo po ba ang team nila na pumunta dito sa Pilipinas? Oo, hindi, at bakit?
papayagan ko. Magiging very open, magiging very transparent. Kung wala naman tinatago, hindi tayo kailangan matakot. hustisya yung pinakabuod nito. Pero dapat balikan natin. In the first place, bakit tayo nag-member ng ICC? Ang ICC is a safety net sa mga gobyernong nag-a-abuse ng human rights ng kanilang mga tao, sa mga gobyerno nagko-commit ng very high crimes. Mga diplomats natin, mga Pilipino, bahagi nung pag-draft, nung pagbuo ng ICC dahil nakita natin na ito ay representative ng values natin bilang mga Pilipino na pinahahalagahan natin yung human rights. So sa akin, pag umupo ako, hindi ko lang papayagan na pumasok dito, pero ipopropose ko na bumalik yung ating membership sa ICC dahil napakahalaga ito to keep government.
Vice President, maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
God bless you at mabuhay ka.
Maraming salamat.
Sa inyong lahat po, maraming salamat. At God bless us all. Mabuhay po ang Pilipinas. Good night.
What a win! You did it! And here's your reward.
One interviewer, 5 presidential candidates, 10 common questions, 5 minutes to answer, 60 seconds to answer the personal issue-based question, a political fast talk, one final question, a gong sound. All answers are unedited. This is the 2022 presidential one-on-one interviews with Boy Abunda.
Good evening and welcome. Our guest tonight, Mayor Isko Moreno.
Thank you, Tuboy. It's an honor to be here. Thank you very much.
First, let's talk about the environment. Mining in particular, because this is one of the most controversial environmental issues. Noong Abril 2021, President Duterte lifted the 9-year moratorium on granting new mining permits sa pamamagitan ng EO 130, Executive Order 130. December 2021, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, DNR, ay nilift din ang ban on open pit mining through Department Administrative Order number 2021-0. Pinuri ito ng mga taga-mining industry. Ibig sabihin ng mga desisyon ito na dalawa ng DNR at saka ni President Duterte. Samantala, binatikos ito ng mga human rights and environment defenders. Ang aking katanungan, Mayor Isko, you are applying to become the next president of the Republic of the Philippines. If elected, pagtitibayin mo ba ang mga desisyon ito o ipapawalang bisa?
Pagtitibayin. Because isa sa pinakamagandang asset ng bansa ay yung ating mga minerals. There is also what you call the responsible mining. And there's gold standard and world standard of mining and responsible one. And it has to be applied to everyone, to anyone. No? And at the sitwasyon natin ngayon, sa hirap ng buhay ng ating bansa, sa hirap ng epekto ng pandemyang ito sa ating ekonomiya, we need to generate more FDIs, foreign direct investment, more jobs, more source of income. We cannot keep on taxing our people based para mapatakbo natin ang gobyerno. Kailangan natin kumita, pero we can be responsible in our environment. And I think there's already rules in this world that is applicable and can be applied to our mining industry.
Klaro lamang, so pagtitibayin mo yung pag-lift ng moratorium doon sa pag-grant ng new permits.
We will allow mining.
You will allow mining,
Yes.
but what you're trying to say is you will allow sustainable mining.
Yes.
And you will also allow open pit mining, katulad ng sinabi ng DNR.
The mining, it has to be an industry.
Okay.
Hindi yan pwede tayo mag-backyard at maging irresponsible na lamang. It has to have a rule. And the rules and standards of this world can be applied in our industry, the mining industry that we're going to open or we're going to continue. Yun ang importante. Kasi with that, magkakaroon ka ng sustainable mining, tapos may mapapangalagaan mo ang kapaligiran at the same time.
Sa iyong kampanya, would you accept mining money
Mining money?
na donation? Halimbawa, may isang nagsabing, Mayor Isko, gusto kong tumulong, pero galing sa mina ang pera.
Well, kung yung mina na pinanggalingan ay hindi illegal at legal at makatwira yung pagninegosyo nila, responsable yung pagninegosyo nila, why not? Kailangan ko ng lahat ng tulong.
For the sake of argument, Mayor Isko, pinag-uusapan yung destruction of the natural habitat. Merong nagsasabi, kami, sustainable mining kami. Ibinabalik namin yung mga kahoy at lahat, no? Ang argumento laban doon ay, pag binalik mo naman, iba na eh. Iba na yung posisyon ng kahoy. Napollute na yung tubig.
Well, that's why you have to be responsible to your action. If there is a clear-cut rule that those people who will violate or destroy the environment, irresponsible mining, then the rules should be applied to any John Does and Mary, whether foreigner partnered with the Filipinos or Filipino-owned mining company. And Tito Boy, what we need is to create jobs because we've lost so much nowadays. What we need is new business because the economy is really affected by this pandemic. We have to be aggressive. We have to be practical. But at the same time, we have to be responsible also for the next generation. And these are the things that are existing in the world with the gold standard of mining.
I have
and that
the new
should
data,
be
actually. 184,000 jobs have been created, 102.3 billion pesos ang contribution sa GDP.
At ito pa isa, dapat pag nagbukas tayo ng mina, no, dapat may industriya ang nakikreate. Dapat meron din tayong industrial. For example, let's just say, for the sake of argument and conversation, we wanted to get the ore. And I think we should come up with a plant producing steel. Then creates another jobs. Okay. So, kumbaga, kailangan, hindi lang tayo hihinto doon sa pagmina. O, tapos ibebenta na sa labas. It can create another industry to produce such material.
Ang record kasi, at kasama dito ang ilang sustainable mining companies, there is biodiversity loss, merong ecological imbalance, dihaharas minsan ng mga locals, ang mga tao na naroon. Pag sinasabi mong we must stick to the rules exactly as president, ano yun?
Well, if there are existing laws, it is applicable to anyone, to any corporation, whether it's startup mining company or large corporation company, the rules are the same. Yun yung sinasabi kong predictability and certainty of rules. So those who will violate, no matter how big they have to be shut down. And those who comply, tutulungan ng pamahalaan para lalo silang yumabot.
Mayor Isko, let's go to COVID-19. Let's talk about the pandemic. Sa kasalukuyan, dalawang bagay ang alam natin. Una, ikaw, ako, at lahat ng nagmamasid sa pag-uusap na ito ay alam nating lahat pinadapa tayo ng virus na ito. Sabi ng DOH, mahigit sa 3 million cases sa bansa na. And mahigit 50,000 deaths dito sa Pilipinas. Sabi naman po ng John Hopkins COVID-19 dashboard, more than 300 million cases around the world and more than 5 million deaths globally. Maraming mga Pilipino, Mayor, ang nawalan ng trabaho, kabuhayan, mga mahal sa buhay, marami ang nasirang relasyon, mga plano, mga pangarap. Yan ang una. Pangalawa, alam din natin na ang virus na ito ay napaka-unpredictable. 2 taon na natin itong nilalabanan at maraming variants na ang ating narinig. Nariyan ng Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, Delta Plus, Omicron. The virus acquires genetic changes, meaning it mutates. Paano, ano ang susunod, nobody knows. It is both vicious and unpredictable. Ang tanong, given the unpredictability and the viciousness of this virus, bilang presidente ng Pilipinas, ano ang programa mo para sa COVID-19 ngayon?
Well, what we have done in Manila is to really confront COVID-19 and prepare for any worst scenario. We acquire medicines, we acquire oxygens, we acquire facilities, we acquire more medical frontliners. Then at the same time, bukas ang ekonomiya, bukas ang trabaho. So, given a chance, may awa ang Diyos, pala rin ako, I'll treat it as an endemic. Because mas maraming namamatay sa ibang sakit sa ating mga ospital, dala ng hindi na nakakapunta, dahil napupuno yung ating mga hospital, private or public. So, this, nowadays, if you see Spain and other countries, they are treating it differently. It's like a normal flu nowadays. Now, the thing is, we have to strengthen our vaccination because, sabi mo nga, virus, it has to be approached scientifically. We must continue to believe in, in this existing antiviral medicines that we acquired in the city of Manila that are existing in the world. Remdesivir, Silisumab, Baricitinib, Molnupiravir, may bago pa ngayon, Paxlovid, which we are about to acquire in a matter of 2 days. So, we have to be ready, always ahead of the numbers of capacity than the numbers of infection. Then we must open. We must offer job. We must open business. We must be aggressive in dealing with this COVID-19. We can learn how to live with COVID-19 and go back to work safely. That is our approach in Manila, and that is the approach that I'm going to do in the entire country.
Okay. Be prepared na ipaliwanag ng mabuti na iintindihan natin with your enumeration of the various meds para sa COVID. Doon lamang ako dun sa confront. Ano ang ibig sabihin when you say we must confront the virus? Ito ba yung lockdown? Ito ba yung...
No.
Anong
Confront,
ibig sabihin ng lockdown?
it's live with it.
I'm sorry?
Live with it.
Okay.
Live with it. As long as we build more hospital, the way we build bagong hospital ng Maynila, we build like, for example, Manila COVID-19 Field Hospital in Luneta, para yung may mga sakit na walang kakayanan mag-isolate, meron silang paglalagakan, papanatag ang pamilya nila at ang pamilya nila tuloy maghanap buhay. So these are the things that are doable, duplicable, scalable. So we've shown you the prototype on how to address it. Manila is the most dense city in the country, if not in Asia. But as you can see, siksikan na kami, pero bakit hindi bumubulwak? Because lagi kami naghahanda ahead. May projection. We always think of the worst scenario. And I'm fortunate, thanks to British government, I was sent to February of 2020. I spoke with Cobra, I got the plan of British government, kinapi ko, in-implement ko except for the weather because we don't have wind. So, pwede siyang pagandaan. And in the long-term process, because if this COVID-19 dumating ngayon, another type of virus, I think it's high time for the state, for the government, for the Philippine government to invest into our human resources, scientists, doctors, to create our own agency to find cure and medicine of our own. Pansinin mo, Tito Boy, lagi tayo nakadepende sa bakuna. Huli tayo, natatawa nga ako doon sa sinabi ng isang bansa, pag-aaral nila, late daw ang Pilipinas sa vaccination. Kaya kami na-late nyo kami binigyan ng bakuna eh. So we must have that kind of access. If they can do it there, we can do it here. And I think it's high time for the state, national government, to invest to, like, for example, UPPGH, UP Medicine, or other schools.
On our own vaccine.
On our own vaccine.
Sarili nating gamot.
On our own vaccine, on our own medicine. Magaling tayong Pilipino. Kaya tayo na-hire sa iba't ibang malalaking kumpanya sa mundo. Now, let's pull them back to the country and invest on it. And I think it's high time for us to discover our own vaccine, discover our own medicine, because kaya natin.
And it may take a little while.
It will take
pero meron tayong sarili.
Exactly. That's why ito yung paghahanda, pero ito yung future.
Mayor Scott, paliwanag lang, ano yung endemic versus pandemic para maunawaan namin?
Well, ang logic is, it's like meron kang trangkaso, meron tayong ubo. Kumbaga, as long as nababawasan mo yung mortality rate because you have medicine, you have vaccine, you have medicine, you have oxygen, you have antiviral drugs, and, of course, machineries in our public hospital equipment, the way we did. We build.
So what is the difference between an endemic and a pandemic?
Normal na tayo, yung ganyan na lang. Kahit may pag-ubo mo, nilalagnat ka, gusto mo mag-isolate ka. Gusto mo magtrabaho ka.
What does it do to the virus? Okay, let's talk about poverty. Specifically yung kawalan ng trabaho at gutom. Tuwing eleksyon, may mga slogan ang mga nag-a-apply bilang presidente. Panahon ni President Gloria, narinig natin yung pagkain sa bawat hapagkainan. President Era para sa mahirap. President Aquino, kung walang kurap, walang mahirap. Ang ibig sabihin, ang dating nito sa amin, starring ang mahirap pag-eleksyon. According to the PSA, the Philippine Statistics Authority, ang mga walang trabaho, ito lamang ay dadaan ng kumabilisan. October of 2001, 3.27 million. October 2010, 2.79 million. October of 2016, 2 million. October 2021, 3.5 million. Ayon naman sa SWS, Social Weather Station, ang mga kababayan nating nagugutom in percentages, taking into consideration the fluctuation of the population. Third quarter of 2001, 9.3%. Third quarter of 2010, 15.9%. Third quarter of 2016, 10.6%. September 2021, 10% or around 2.5 million Filipinos ang nagugutom. Ang katanungan, bilang nag-a-apply sa pagka-presidente ng Pilipinas at given itong mga data na galing sa PSA na meron tayong 3.5 million Filipinos na walang trabaho at 2.5 million na nagugutom. Bilang presidente ng Pilipinas, with these urgent problems of joblessness and hunger, ano po ang inyong gagawin?
Well, we did it in Manila again. We created poverty alleviation yan eh. Pagpapataas ang antas ng pamumuhay ng tao. So we created housing. Housing creates jobs. Housing, infrastructure, vertical infrastructure that addresses social perennial problem, which is homelessness or ownership. No? Nag-create pa siya ng maraming industry. Tinamaan ng semento, tinamaan ng bakal, tinamaan ng trabaho, equipment, gasolina, and so on and so forth. So you must be aggressive. That's why when I said, I will continue the build of President Duterte, but build more schools, build more hospital, build more housing. Because this will generate jobs. So this will stimulate our economy, and this creates opportunity to business and to the people. So, that's one. And with regard to the environment, for example, let's just say nag-open tayo ng mining, no? Imagine mo, maraming mga nasa bundok, walang trabaho, no? Then, let's start reforestry. Mag-reforestation tayo. Reforest tayo ng ano. Magtanim tayo ulit ng mga puno. Then, yung mga IPs, yung mga indigenous people, i-hire natin. Sila ang pagtanimin natin. They know better than anybody else on how to plant trees. So, you address the environment. You open something, it affects something, you address it, and it affects something. So, maraming pwedeng gawin. But I do believe the minimum basic needs. And I remember my professor would always say, MBN, minimum basic needs. When you address housing, education, healthcare, and jobs, this will alleviate the status, kalalagayan ng ating mga kababayan. That's why, since time immemorial, nung ako'y mag-gobyerno, ito na tinutukan ko. Nung ako'y mag-alkalde, yun ang ginawa ko lahat. Bahay, eskwelahan, ospital, trabaho. We've lost 7% in our business. We grew 12%. In 2 years, pandemic, we are positive 5%. We grew in terms of income without raising taxes. Without raising taxes, nag-amnestia pa ako. We've issued the longest amnesty in the city of Manila's history. 6 months, twice. But we generated more income because naging episyente, naging masinop ang pamahalang lungsod ng Maynila.
Yung programa both addresses long and short-term problems?
Yes, the social perennial problem is homelessness. So we wanted to create jobs. At the same time, we addressed that. So you created also helping an industry. Yeah? Ang pagtatayo ng building, maraming beses yung trickling down effect, no? Yung tinatama ang industry. So when you stimulate, sinagot mo na yung problema ng tao na paulit-ulit, and in fact, nga pala, wala akong slogan. Kasi ang slogan, hindi naman yan na gumagamot sa problema ng tao. In fact, ang tawag ko dyan, porn poverty. Porn poverty ba yun? Ginagahasa mo yung kahinaan ng tao. So, sa akin, sa Maynila, pantay-pantay. Mahirap, middle class, mayaman. Kaya yung housing namin, the in-city vertical housing, addresses homelessness, non-ownership, at yun ang ungupahan. Nagkakaroon ng pagkakataon. Pantay sila.
Mayor Sko, pag pinag-uusapan ang ito nga, kahirapan,
Sure.
poverty, specifically itong homelessness, di ba, at saka gutom, meron bang epekto ang corruption?
Of course, malaki.
Kasi
Dahil
naalala-
kapag matakaw ang... Ito, bibigyan kita ng magandang halimbawa. For example, 6 months pinakain namin ng Manila. Bakit? 700,000 families. Sabi kasi ng SWS, with your data, in 2020, September, sabi magkakaroon daw ng taggutom sa 2021. So, ang ginawa namin, kinancel namin ng road maintenance, ilagay ko sa food security program, 6 months kumain ang 700,000 families in the city of Manila. Every month, 700,000. So, yes, it's true. Kapag talagang may mga magnanakaw sa gobyerno, makakati ang kamay, kawawa ang tao.
Undersecretary Cyril Ramos said, the DOF, that 20% of the national budget goes to corruption. About 670.
He knows better than me. He's a former president.
But you agree?
Pero most likely, it's happening. We saw it eh. May mga nakukulong, may mga sentensyado nga, hindi nakukulong eh. Buti pa yung naawa ko doon sa isang matanda eh. Nagkamali lang nakunin yung mangga ng may mangga eh. Nakulong eh. Yung mga nagnakaw
And that tells you
kabas-
what, Mayor?
That is inequality. That is grave injustice. Lalo na sa mahirap.
Let's talk about OFW, migrants. As of September 2019, ang estimated number of OFWs worldwide is 2.2 million. According to PSA again. 96.8 nito ay may mga kontrata po overseas. 3.2 ay walang kontrata. Ang mga remittances ng mga OFWs, just for us to have an idea, ay noong 2018 po, 28.9 billion US dollars. Noong 2019, 30.1 billion US dollars. Noong 2020, 29.9 billion US dollars. As of October 2021, 25.9 dollars. In 2018, remittances sent by OFWs accounted for 11% of the total GDP of the country. Sa kabilang dako nito, Mayor, ay may tinatawag na social cost. Ito yung unquantifiable because it contributes to the destruction of the Filipino family. Kung ikay papalarin manalo bilang presidente ng Pilipinas, how do you balance the economic contributions of the OFWs and the unquantifiable cost of migration that contributes to the destruction of the Filipino family?
That's why when I said about a few weeks ago, a peso spent in Metro Manila doesn't give us any growth. So the same peso that I'm going to spend in terms of development in Metro Manila, I will spend it in the far-flung areas because it will generate more economic growth and opportunity in the provinces. So parehong pera, pero niredirect mo. When you have this, when you have opportunity for the farmers, binigyan mo sila ng pagkakataon na bilhin ng gobyerno sa tamang halaga yung kanilang produkto, panatag sila, magtatanim sila. Meron silang ayuda sa gobyerno na matatakbuhan para yung kanilang abono, yung kanilang patubig. Then, nobody wanted to send their children somewhere else. So when there is an opportunity, because most of these numbers that you're saying is from the far-flung areas, sa probinsya. Kaya yan umaalis ng bansa. Siyempre, hindi mo naman masisisi sa hirap ng buhay. Tapos makukwento ng kapitbahay. Ako nga, di ba, nangarap ako maging seaman. Dahil yun ang gusto ko talaga, maging kapitan ng barko. Because there's an opportunity. How to create an option? Yun yung sinasabi ko kanina. You have to generate more FDIs. If you create more foreign direct investment, then it will generate more opportunity. At the rate we're going about $4 billion. Yung mga neighboring countries natin na $13 billion, $30 billion. Well, napakamahal ng gasolina natin, napakamahal ng kuryente natin. So hindi nagpupuntahan sa atin yung mga pabrika, yung mga industriya. Doon sila lahat nag-i-invest. Ang rules natin hindi certain. Ang dami mong kinausap na, maniniwala ka ba na I think by the hundreds of signature just to approve, Tito Boy, just to approve a PPP, You know what I'm gonna do with that? Okay, ayan ba rule 100? O lahat kayo 100 na tao maupo kayo rito sa lamesa. You sign. You read, you sign. If you agree, you sign. Then we finish in less than 1 month. It will take 2 years just to push for the PPP, not yet approved, to push for PPP. So there are rules, too much bureaucracy, too much redundancy, unnecessary redundancy in the rules. Now, bumaba na sa nasyonal, pababa na sa lokal. Pagdating sa lokal, hanggang tanod, problema ng negosyante. So, paano papasok sa ating negosyante? Paano natin sasagutin na sila, wag na kayong pumunta ng abroad. Huwag kayong mag-alala, magdadala ko ng negosyo dito, magdadala ko ng investor.
Hindi na kayo alis.
Hindi na kayo alis. Now, yan ang option. The value of income abroad, the value of income in the country, plus with your family, this without your family. And that's how you address the social cost of going abroad.
Are you in agreement with the creation of the Department of Migrant Workers of the President?
Well, there's so many laws already. Tito Boy,
So what you're trying to say is you don't need, hindi mo na kailangan itong departamentong ito.
bago ako gumawa ng isang batas, I'll make sure na yung isang department na yun, yun din ba yung ginagawa? Kung hindi naman, then we create.
Sa iyong
Pero what
pananaw
is
right now,
important?
is that a duplication?
Well, I don't know. I don't know yung intricacy, yung mga OWA, POEA, and so on and so forth. But the thing is, ito, ang pinakamabisang tulong natin sa OFW, yung polo. We should put professional people in our embassy abroad. Yung labor officer natin. O kasi kita mo, ilan na ba ang naapi nating mga kababayan? Ilan ba ang naagabyado nating mga kababayan? Mga kontrata nila hindi nare-recognize. Iba ang sinulat dito bago umalis. Pagdating doon, iba ang ginagawa. How do they get protected? And yet you're telling me the billions and billions of pesos or dollars for
Ang
that
pinapadala
matter,
dito sa
ang pinapadala dito.
Meron
And
po-
they don't get premium.
Yeah. When you become president, do you look forward to the day na malaki ang mababawas sa ating migrant workers?
I'm hoping so. With your help, with the help of everyone and the investor,
Okay.
building trust again for the country's credibility as a country of nation, certain of rules, predictable, and that's very important in investment.
Ano yung pananaw na tinatawag natin silang bagong bayani?
Well, ginagahasa din ng ating mga OFW ng mga politiko. Tinatawag lang na bagong bayani. Saan ka nakakita ng bagong bayani? Pag nag-positive sa airport, pinagbabayad natin ng 6,000 pesos. That's why we offered Manila
At
COVID.
saka it normalizes the risks of working abroad.
Di ba? I mean, parang bagong bayani, pag dumating dito, kawawang-kawawa. 6,000 pesos nagbabayad. That's what we offer Manila COVID-19 Field Hospital for free for OFW. At the very least that we can do. So, iba yung kiyaw-kiyaw, iba yung lip service.
Let's talk about social media. Pag-usapan natin ang internet, specifically cyber pornography. Noong 2021, Year in Review report ng Pornhub, isang online adult video streaming website. Sabi dito, ang mga Pinoy daw, spend 11 minutes, 30 seconds watching porn, making the Philippines top 1. Talo natin ang France and Japan. Some of the known social media sites, apps, Twitter, Snapchat, ngayon, minsan ginagamit na, minsan. And some Facebook groups are being used as alternative porn. May kwento lamang ako dalawa. Mabilis na lamang. Si Billie Eilish is a young
Singer.
American singer-songwriter. She's 20 years old. She turned 20 actually last year. Ang kwento niya, in an interview last year, sabi niya, 11 years old, I got exposed to pornography. Pagkatapos daw ay na-addict siya sa porn. And then, may mga pagkakataon na ang kanyang napapanood ay ang akala niya normal. So, she was hooking up with multiple sex partners dahil yun ang kanyang napapanood. In her words, sabi niya, my brain was destroyed. I felt devastated. She had nightmares.
At 11 years old, may access siya?
Meron. Sleep paralysis, and then her mental health was damaged. Last year, she turned 20 nga, sabi ko kanina, now she's on the road to recovery. Tanong, at ito'y hypothetical. Nalaman mo at na-confirm ng yung menor de edad na anak ay addicted to cyber pornography. Bilang magulang, ano ang gagawin mo? At bilang presidente, kung ikay papalari ng Pilipinas, paano mo ito itatawid sa iyong polisiya on the welfare and protection of children?
Okay. Well, as a parent, you always talk to your children and be reasonable and try to explain them the gravity of the situation, especially kung minor de edad. No? That is the job of being a parent to your children. Wala namang perfectong magulang, wala namang perfectong pamilya. But at the very least that you can do is really talk and try to be sensible to your children. But as a leader, alam mo, dito, mapalad ako kapag aral-aral ako kung saan. Ako, nababahala na more than the point. Another problem with us is yung masyado ng palasak, yung social media, abuse, no? Words, sinasabi mo nga ngayon, pati social media ginagamit as porn site. Kaya I'll teach them a very good lesson. This social media company, I'll make them responsible because nagiging outlet yung kanilang mga sites. I'll make them responsible. That all those accounts must be real. Alam mo, may plano talaga akong ganyan na papapanagutin natin yung mga pinagbabaliwala lamang ng mga social media companies. It destroys our country. It destroys society. It destroyed already a country and countries because of this pagbabaliwala. Now, and technically, I'll block their IP address.
Things about that.
I'll make the ICT as a powerful agency to go after to this corporation, to go after to this website and so on and so on. Then, I'll start talking to, for example, let's just say GCash, Paymaya, fintech, or even credit cards, banking system. Kasi para nung mapanood mo yan, kailangan mo magbayad. So there are so many things that we can do technically. We'll go after them because I do believe it's an issue. An issue to a person, an issue to a family. And it has to be addressed by the state.
Okay, I heard you. But you're aware na ang isang 12-year-old child can actually get into an app by faking all the
Accounts.
requirements.
Yes.
Doon yung sinasabi mo na, go ahead.
Yeah, yun yung sinasabi ko na dapat pag kumukuha ng account, pag naggagawa ng account, let's just say para sa mga manonood natin, pinakamadali na siguro. Pag kukuha ka ng Facebook account, you have to submit data to prove that you are Boy Abunda, picture of Boy Abunda, data of Boy Abunda be submitted before you created an account. Hindi yung 5-5 email lang, 5-5 cellphone numbers lang, pwede ka na magkaroon ng
Mayor,
account.
you give this to the platform.
Of course, you have
give
to
them the
agree.
platform.
You have to agree. Hindi ka naman nila pipilitin na to sign up eh.
Nung sinasabi mong, I will hold these platforms responsible,
Yes.
ginagawa yun ng maraming bayan. Nakita natin si Zuckerberg, for example, in the US,
I saw it.
congressional.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
How
they
do
were
you do
amazing.
that in the Philippines? Para makipag-usap at makipagharapan.
Pagka hindi nila ginawa, di block ko IP address nila. Wala na silang negosyo sa Pilipinas. Diba? I'd
Hindi
love.
kaya magalit sa iyong tao.
Well, hindi naman to Mr. and Mrs. Congeniality.
Okay.
Leadership is all about protecting your people, proteksyonan mo mamamayan mo, unahin mo tao mo. Yun nasa sakupan mo. That's how you define yourself. There are things na what you call them, madalas mo kung marinig dito, maasim man na suka, kailangan mong inumin. Ganon ang pagiging leader. Kaya ka inilalagay para pamahalaanan mo ang tao.
But isn't that a bit too extreme? Ito ang problema na maliit. Alam din natin lahat ang magagandang bagay na dulot ng social media.
Well, it creates jobs. Kung wala ka namang masamang intensyon, kung wala ka namang masamang balak, nothing to worry. Diba? For example, Boy Abunda, check. Blue. Isko Moreno, blue. Confirm account. You cannot just, eto, Tito Boy, bago maubos yung oras. What if I created a Boy Abunda account and I posted something there? Can you be held liable? It's not you. See, that's the problem. So it creates more problem than benefits. And we know for a fact, it destroyed a country already. some portion of this book.
There is actually a fake Boy Abunda account.
See?
I've written to Facebook to complain many times over. Walang ginawa.
Exactly. Sino tatakbuhan mo? Ang leader, ang estado, ang bansang pinabibilang.
Mayor Scott, let's talk about abortion. Specifically, rape-related abortion. Sabi ng pinsan, Philippine Safe Abortion Advocacy Network at Gender Rights Incorporated, isang Filipino woman and girl is raped every 75 minutes. About 1 in every 8 Filipino women who resorts to abortion is a rape survivor. 70 women induce abortion every hour. Complications from unsafe abortion is one of the 5 leading causes of maternal death and the leading cause of hospitalization in the Philippines. 2012 alone, 610,000 Filipino women induced abortion. Over 100,000 women were hospitalized and 1,000 women died due to unsafe abortion complications. Dahil wala nga tayong access to safe abortion in the country, at least, Mayor spoke, 3 women die every day from unsafe abortion complications. You're applying to be president of this country. Sa iyong palagay, panahon na to enact a law on abortion that would allow pregnant rape victims the choice of legal and safe abortion?
No, life is life to me. Same thing that I apply to criminals. Due process of law will be observed. Equal opportunity, equal chance, and the same thing when I value those lives are suspected criminals, yung karapatang pantao nila na may paliwanag ang sarili, the same manner applied to any life. I don't like taking life. So, ayoko ng abortion. But I am pro-choice in terms of other things like kung ano yung mga accessible na pwedeng ibigay ng Estado para sa family plan. But when there is life already, nobody should take it. Kasi ipinagkaloob ng Diyos yun. Oh, that's my personal view.
Pinagkaloob ng Diyos, pero the situation is, ginahasa ang batang ito, ang babaeng ito, nagbubuntis ng isang bata na unwanted. Does that still fall into your reasoning na yan ay bawal?
Dahil yung bata na yun na sinapupunan ng nanay, walang kakayanan, ipagtanggol ang sarili niya. Buhay na yun eh. Life na yun eh.
Pero mayroon kong choice ng nanay.
No, hindi lang yun para sa kanya. Buhay din yun nasa tiyan niya. There is a life inside the womb. Life is life. Only God can take it away, not human being.
Dadagdagan ko pa ito ng certain points. Tatay ang nakabuntis sa anak. O di kaya there was a story about a doctor na nabuntis ng nagpaaral sa kanya, ang kanyang guardian. Kahit sa mga pagkakataong ganito,
Hindi maganda ang social status, hindi maganda ang social impression, for whatever impression o ano man ang sasabihin ng ibang tao. It may had a bad effect sa society, sa katatayuan ng ina o ng bata. But life is life. Bawat buhay mahalaga. Ang buhay ng mahirap, buhay ng middle class, buhay ng mayaman, pare-pareho ang mahalaga. The same manner, yung walang kamalay-malay na bata sa sinapupunan ng ina, paano man siya na-conceive? In a bad way or in a good way? Life is life.
Mayor, paano naman yung karapatan ng merong malay na ina na ayaw niyang magkaanak?
Tama naman yun. Pero di ba, yun yung buhay natin. Hindi ko ginusto maging basurero. Hindi ko ginustong kumain ng tira ng tao. Ba't yun ang pinagkaloob sa akin ng tadhana? Ipinilit kong magsigasig. Ipinilit kong ibangon ng sarili ko. Pinilit kong pagbutihin ng sarili ko nang makilala ko ng lipunan, ng maayos na tao. Meron akong kalungkutan sa buhay ng mga nagdaan. Pero hindi ako pwede mamuhay na lamang sa mga nagdaan para sa aking kinabukasan. Life must go on. We must face these challenges. We must. And that's where the church, the state, the family come in.
Mayor, but
Support.
That's a different story.
Yeah.
Oo.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying
nung ako'y naghirap, we made certain choices. But in a situation where Halimbawa, ang tatay ng iyong ipinagbubuntis ay ang sarili mong ama.
Napakasaklap.
At hindi mo maatim na magkaroon ng anak sa iyong ama. Wala ka bang choice bilang babae, bilang tao?
Tito Boy, masaklap yun. Naaawa ko sa ganung sitwasyon. Pero, hindi ako Diyos para kumuha ng buhay ng tao. Diyos ang nagbigay ng buhay. Diyos lamang ang pwedeng kumuha.
But you're aware, Mayor, that there's such a thing as therapeutic abortion dito sa Pilipinas. Has nothing to do...
If there is therapeutic abortion that are existing, that is a therapeutic way of healing and helping the mother with an unwanted children.
Stay warm out there.
Di ba, mayroon namang isang way. There is always two sides of the coin. It's hard, Tito Boy. Don't get me wrong. Mahirap na katatayuan yun ng isang ina na nangyari sa kanya yung gano'n. Pero, we must go on. We must fight. We must help as a state
You're an
and as a
unstoppable
family.
force.
Okay. Ang sinasabi ko lamang sa therapeutic abortion ay isang pagkakataon kung saan pinipili ang buhay ng ina. I think medically, hindi rin ako sigurado dito, in a situation where endangered ang buhay ng ina.
That I don't know. I think that's medical, no?
That's all.
But there's a matter of rule, there's a matter of principle. Life is saved. Every life must be saved.
Ito'y may kinalaman sa iyong religion. May kinalaman sa iyong faith.
Takot ako kay Jesus.
Mayor Sko, pag-usapan natin ng drugs.
Okay.
Let me start with a quote from the President, from President Duterte. At ang sabi niya, I feel so bad about all of these things kasi nalaman ko paano ko makontrol in 3 to 6 months ang mga generals na police nandyan. Tapos yung mga Bureau of Customs na inaasahan ko, PI, nasa droga. How will I succeed? Nasa droga. Alam ko na nagkamali talaga ako. Now, magtanong kayo, ang Pilipinas, are we or are we not a narco country? Sabi ng Presidente, yes, we are. Sabi ko, tama yung silang mga kritiko ko. Sabi mo, noong nagpresidente ka, 3 to 6 months, hindi ko alam pagpasok ko, Davao lang kasi ako. So ang template ko, Davao, may droga. Pero sabi ko, maglaro ka dun, patay ka talaga. Give me another 6 months. That self-imposed time of 3 to 6 months, well, I did not realize how severe and how serious the problem of drug menace in this republic until I became president. Ang katanungan, you're applying to be the president of the country. Mayor Isko, how much do you know about illegal drugs in the Philippines? Gaano kalala ito? Ang Pilipinas ba ay isang narco country o hindi? Depende sa iyong pagkakaalam tungkol sa problema ng illegal drugs dito sa Pilipinas. Ano ang programa mo laban dito?
Well, unang-una, hindi ako naniniwalang narco country tayo. Unlike, at the time ng Colombian era, in the 70s and 80s. We have not reached that way. I mean, that far. But there is drugs. And it destroys family, community, and of course, a country. It can destroy a country. Now, in fairness, and I have to give credit when it's due. In fairness kay Pangulong Duterte, talagang halos hirap na hirap, kung hindi nawala, halos mawala yung droga sa kalsada. Nung mag-mayor ako, meron lang akong isang rule na, the way I grew up in the street. Kaya ako, hanggat maaari, talagang dinidiplomasya ko. Na basta ako, zero tolerance. Non-negotiable. Drugs is drugs. You commit selling, we'll apprehend. Kakalawitin ka namin. Kukunin ka namin. And we are certain about it. Kaya ang drugs sa Maynila, nagsabsab. Almost, masasabi mo, hirap na hirap silang Then, the second thing that I have to give to President Duterte, nawala yung manufacturing sa Pilipinas. Kasi noong dati, dito may mga nahuhuli sa Paco, sa subdivision, sa mga posh subdivision, nagpaplanta ng droga. But the problem with that, nawala nga yung clandestine na operation ng manufacturing of drugs. But the thing is, one thing that I found, bulk ng dumarating dito. So there must be something wrong with our borders. There must be something wrong with our ports. So, kasi kung wala na yung manufacturing, hirap na magbenta. Bakit kung dumating at mahuli namin 48 kilos, 40 kilos, 5 kilos, nahuhuli namin malalaki kasi nakapackaging. So, I think it's high time for us to address our boundaries, our entries, the port of entries. Then, pag wala na nagpaplanta, wala na pumapasok, then, naturally, walang available.
Mayor Sco, would you continue the war on drugs
Why
on
not?
the president?
Why not?
Anong pagkakaiba kung ipagpapatuloy mo? Anong pagkakapareho? Kung
Basta
ipagpapatuloy mo?
papanagutin kita sa mata ng batas. Hindi sa batas ng sino man. Sa mata ng batas. Which we are doing. And we will continue to do so if given a chance. No ifs, no buts.
Will it be bloody?
No. Well, sorry to say this. You know, things happen. Officially, within the rules. Pero at the rate we're going,
Officially within the rules.
yeah,
ang
kasi
implementation.
encuentro. Wala kang napatayan nga ako ng pulis eh. Inunahan pa yung pulis ko eh.
Okay.
Then there are incident. Pero ito maganda dito. I can honestly say to you, at 97% nahuli namin
You
buhay.
see that which is
In Manila.
In
In the city of Manila.
So, merong prototype na
I'm also
dahil I grew up in
pretending
the
to be
streets,
narco.
I grew up with criminals, I grew up with that kind of environment.
Even hat.
Ako pa mismo nagtuturo
Leopard.
sa lespumisan
Wig.
kung paano sasakutin.
Headband.
Having grown up with the criminals, having grown up in the streets, and I know your story, nakatikim ka ng drugs.
Never. Not solvent, not shabu, not damo, sudaplex, pidol, corex, tapos cocaine.
Mayor, bakit?
Ayoko. Kasi masisira
bakit ayaw?
ulo mo eh. So, solving kang ganyan, nagra-rugby ka, tutuyo.
Bakit alam mo doon nung bata ka na nasisira ang ulo?
Nakikita ko sa mga kababata ko eh. Saka na kaya nga ako nagbasura, kaya nga ako nag-sidecar boy, kaya ako naghanap ko. Kasi gusto ko chicha. Hindi adik. Ayoko. Nakita ko yun araw-araw. Dadaan ka sa eskinita. Kaya ka nga tusukin ng bolo eh. Sa litang eskinita. Maamoy mo, damo. Tapos you turn out, makikita mo yung mga taon to, kung di namatay, nasa mental hospital. So, nakita mo na. Kaya ayokong gawin. Kaya never, ever, not a single drop or taste or even curiosity.
Hindi ka na-pressure ng iyong mga kaibigan.
Well, salamat sa Diyos. Dahil ayoko talaga.
Okay, you talked about borders. Mabilisan lamang. How will you do it? You talked about ports na doon pumapasok yung droga.
And alam mo, kaya first time, pag-i-appoint ako Navy, ang ating national defense. We are archipelagic country.
Let's talk about the Philippine debt. Utang. Pakinggan natin yung data mula sa Bureau of the Treasury. Nang matapos ang termino ni President Era, ang utang ng Pilipinas ay 2.6 trillion pesos. Matapos yung Arroyo administration, umakyat ito sa 5.1 trillion pesos. Umabot sa 6.5 trillion pesos nang matapos ang termino ni President Aquino. End of November 2021, ngayong administrasyong Duterte, ang total Philippine debt is 11.93 trillion pesos. Madalas natin naririnig, hindi ba, yung hindi pa ipinapanganak, nagbabayad na dahil sa laki ng utang ng Pilipinas. Ang aking katanungan, kung ikaw ay papalaring manalo bilang presidente ng Pilipinas, how do you intend to pay the national debt?
Well, one, we must pay. It's an obligation. And there is no shame if the state will borrow money. It's part of business. It's stimulating a hurting economy. Because you need to stimulate our state. Itong ating bansa. Dahil sa sobrang ginigiba tayo ng pandemya. There is no bad thing about the state, the LGU borrowing money, as long as it provides opportunity and business. So, ibig sabihin, kailangan may balik. Kaya mo siya ginagawa dahil gusto mo lang i-stimulate ang ekonomiya ng iyong bansa. But I think we can still pay. Kasi hindi ka naman papayagan, pabutangin, kung hindi mo pa kaya magbayad. Meron namang may cap naman yan.
debt
And
to
in fact,
GDP ratio.
Bukod doon, talagang sasabihin naman sa iyan, masisiyasat ka, lalo na kung International Monetary Fund, mga foreign organization. In fact, ang pinakamalaking may utang sa buong mundo, Estados Unidos. But they continue to have a good economy. I think ilang $1 trillion na yung utang nila. But they manage. And that's how you do it as a state. No? Now, paano natin mababayaran? Marami tayong asset na it became liability. Marami tayong asset. For example, may mga lupang tinatangananan ng gobyerno pero nakatiwangwang. These are assets that non-performing can be disposed of, then create source of income to offset whatever debt servicing that we can do, so that we can lessen the debt servicing in our GAA, or General Appropriation Act. Then we can create more development and investment to our GAA, from our GAA.
Okay. We must pay is a very good point.
We have to.
There was a point, I think, when we were allocating 20% of the national budget for debt management. Ang isa pa ay base sa aming research, we are a good debtor. Kaya tayo'y pinauutang.
Which is good. I think we have a good credit rating nowadays.
Ang nangyari nga lang,
despite of the situation.
Yeah, yung sinabi ko lang na debt to GDP ay nalaman din natin na medyo sagad na tayo doon at 60%. Medyo wala na masyadong elbow room dahil nga sa pandemya.
And that's why, yung kaninang mga sagot ko sa iyo, we need to encourage foreign direct investment. And for us to be competitive, we have to cut some corners in terms of laws to generate and attract. Kailangan natin talaga. Kailangan natin ibalik yung sigla ng pagpupuhunan sa bansa ng panya.
At paano yung ginagawa?
Well, we have to be competitive. In terms of, like, for example, ito specific. Yung kuryente natin, napakamahal. That's why I made a commitment to the general public. I'll cut it into 50% in taxes, so that we can be more competitive. So there are so many things. Then perception. That's very important. Are we certain about our rules? Are we predictable? These are the things that investors may ask, whether domestic or foreigners. And it's very important. I'm just fortunate that my teacher taught me very well in understanding those things.
Balikan ko lamang yung mga sinasabi, mga assets na hindi nagagamit na pwede namang ito'y ibenta sa... You're talking about Filipino businessmen na maaaring makagamit doon sa mga lugar na yun at pagkakitaan ng gobyerno.
Exactly. For example, let's just say, hypothetical.
Okay.
Hypothetical lang. Oh, I have, 480 hectares of Ninoy Aquino Airport. Then I have, I'm creating a new new airport in Bulacan. And I have an airport, big airport, in Clark. Then I'm building North Trail, the Tutuban.
That to you is excessive.
Huh?
That to you is excessive.
Underutilization or maximizing opportunity for our country to grow. May utang ako, may asset ako, underperforming, non-performing.
But is that good to have so many airports?
No, it's not good.
That's what I was trying to say.
It's not good. That's excessive. Yeah, so, tingnan mo ngayon yung efficiency. Ito na, pumapasok na yung administrative management ng isang tao. On what is efficient and what is productive, how to define these things, well, siguro sa experience ng isang administrador.
At yan, handa ka.
I've been in government for 23 years, from local to national, then local.
Let's talk about Mayor's Court, the West Philippine Sea. Pag-usapan natin to dahil pinag-usapan ng West Philippine Sea, pinag-usapan natin ang, ang Scarborough Shoal at ang bahagi ng Spratly Islands. Specifically, the Kalayaan Island Group. Itong mga lugar na ito ay inaangkin ng China. Sabi ng China, amin ito. Sa Subi, ang tawag natin Zamora Reef. At Mischief, ang tawag naman natin ay Panganiban Reef at iba pa. Nagtayo na dito ang China ng mga hangars, underground storage, missile shelters, radar arrays, and other facilities. Noong July 12, 2016, naglabas ng desisyon ang Permanent Court of Arbitration, PCA, pabor sa Pilipinas sa issue sa West Philippine Sea. Sabi ng korte, atin sa Pilipinas ang West Philippine Sea. Pero patuloy pa rin na inaangkin ito ng China. Tuloy din tayo sa pagfa-file ng mga diplomatic protests. As of December 2021, we have filed about 241 diplomatic protests. Sinasagot naman tayo ng China, 152 responses mula sa China. Ang aking tanong, as President of the Philippines, you are also the chief architect of foreign policy.
Exactly.
If all diplomatic efforts fail, bilang presidente, do you think the Philippines is strong enough and prepared to fight a defensive war against China to protect our territorial sovereignty?
Militarily, no. We know that already. But I do believe in a civilized world, in a civilized time, we are guided by law and order. In fact, that's why we are participants of international organizations like United Nations. And in this case, the law of the sea. The court in Hague decided in our favor. It's ours, no question. Historically, it's ours. Under the the Velarde map, no? 1737 map. I don't know the specific year. It's ours. Then technically, it's ours. We are a signatory. Other countries are signatories in that. Then those countries that are signatories in the law of the sea, then must come together and help us. Because the sauce for the gander is the sauce for the goose. Pag sila'y nangangailangan, tayo'y hinihingan. Tupdin natin ang ating tungkulin sa mga pinirmahan nating kontrata, pinirmahan nating mga agreement. They should come. Now, internally, then that's why I will appoint national defense. For the first time in history, if I'm not mistaken, first time, ang chief ko ay Navy. Because we are an archipelagic country. And a good thing for us, there's no disturbance in the eastern board. But the western board, from Apari to Holo, there is challenges there. Smuggling and the West Philippine Sea. Now, I'll try to be sensible with China. We will be fearless in dealing with West Philippine Sea. We are. At the same time, we will be fair in terms of trade with other countries that includes China. We must coexist in economic relations. But we will always be loyal to the Filipino people. And that is what I'm gonna do. Kung ano nakuha mo, diyan ka muna, Brad. Huwag ka muna magpalaki. Baka naman magkasubuan tayo. But historically, we were occupied by superpowers. We excelled. Nanaig tayo. But point blank, militarily, we cannot go now. But other countries, strong nations, militarily, meron tayong partnerships. Meron tayong relationships. Meron tayong agreements sa kanila. They should come and help us. That's where, and now, this is high time for us to show proof of their word and their relationship towards us.
Maraming interesado sa South China Sea dahil about 5.3 trillion worth of shipborne trade dumadaan dito. Kaya America, Australia, etc. I think that's knowledge available to all of us. Yung liit naman ng bayan, I'd just like to make reference. I'm not saying I'm for war, but in 1979, Vietnam fought a bloody war, not about the West, the South China Sea, but about border.
Yes.
Ang akin lamang, Ameris ko ay, okay, sinabi ng tribunal, halimbawa, sa Pilipinas yan, di naman nakikinig ang China inimbitahan to be part of the arbitration, tinanggihan naman nila because the complaint is infirm, the allegations are not true, at saka hindi daw in-exhaust yung bilateral talks with China. Yun ang dahilan ng China. So, as we talk, sinasabi pa rin ng China, amin yun. So what do you do?
Well, you keep on claiming it's yours. But as far as we're concerned, historically it's ours. And technically speaking, under existing rules and laws and agreements, it's ours. Favorably, binigyan tayo ng pabor doon sa desisyon.
Ang ginagamit na ng China yung historic rights daw nila. Tayo naman ang
Nine dash line, 19 what?
Right.
1940s, then the Velarde map, the Portuguese, the Dutch, the Spanish,
Ang ginagamit naman nating dahilan ay the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea na nagsasabing this is well within the 200 nautical miles from the outermost island of the Philippines. Pero sabi ng China, bilateral talks lang ako, ayoko ng arbitration. So,
And that is my question to UN. What are you doing?
hindi nga, ang China nga umaatras eh.
That's right. Whether
So you will
umatras
go
yan-
to the United Nations
Of
and depend on
course,
the UN.
you are part of it. You are a signatory. You are a member. Di ba? You agreed. Hindi po pwedeng palakihan tayo ng muscle dito. That's why I told you. In a civilized world, in a civilized time, we are guided by law and order. But for now, my interest is makapangisda ang Pilipino ron. And I guarantee you that. Kahit nandoon sila, makakapangisda ang bawat Pilipino doon. That I guarantee to every Filipino.
Let's talk about presidential qualifications.
Am I qualified?
You're applying to be president of the Republic of the Philippines. Napaka-complex. It's a gargantuan job. Una, the president is the head of government. He's the chief architect of foreign policy, commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Philippines, signs budgets, manages finance, appoints justices recommended by the Judicial and Bar Council, confers the National Artist Award, manages disasters and pandemics, fights drug wars, head of her political party, has power over aliens, has power of eminent domain, practices general supervision over local governments, and pardons convicts, among many others. Mayor Isko. That's how complex a job of a president is. Samantala, sa ating saligang batas, specifically Article 7, Section 2 of the 1987 Constitution, ang qualifications para maging isang presidente ay ang mga sumusunod. Natural-born Filipino, registered voter, must be able to read and write, 40 years of age at the day of the election, and must have resided in the Philippines 10 years before the election is held. Kung ikay papalarin maging presidente ng Pilipinas, sa iyong palagay ba'y napapanahon na para amyendahan ang provision na ito ng saligang batas? Oo o hindi? Bakit?
Hindi naman. Marami nang dapat baguhin sa ating constitution. No? But these are the things that hindi naman kailangan masyadong pagtuunan ng pansin. Simply because at the end of the day, it is the people. It is in a democracy. It is the people who will choose. They will choose high school finish, o may doctorate sa Oxford, o they can choose. Yan ang bisa ng demokrasya. And I think what we should go after is paano natin gagawing mas mature yung ating mga mamamayan sa pagsisiyasat sa ating mga kandidato. O paano tayo magiging responsableng mamamayan sa pagpili. Kasi ang kwalifikasyon, ako naniniwala ako, yung dapat may pruweba. Hindi yung ginawa ng tatay ko, kaya gagawin ko. Yung ginawa ng asawa ko, kaya ito gagawin ko. Hindi yung ginawa ng kamag-anak nila. Where were you when we needed you most? What have you done for your fellow men? For you to be voted as the head of the state or being a president? Yung prueba is a very good qualification of any candidate because you can dream of so many things. You can think of so many things. You just sit in one whole day in a room, you can think of a lot of things. These are what you call lip service. But wala kang karanasan, hindi mo nga alam ang katatayuan ng paano kumalaman sikmura. At alam naman natin na napakarami sa demografiya ng ating bansa, yun ang nararamdaman. Then how can you relate? You can always choose words. You can sugarcoat things. You can choose better words to describe a particular members of the society. But wala yun. At the end of the day, where were you? What have you done for your fellow men? And I think that's what matters most. More than the education, more than what... Education is needed. That I agree. But you can learn that. Tito Boy, high school finish ako when I entered into government service. And I saw nakita ko yung kahalagan ng education. Pero hindi lahat doon nagsisimula. Ang nagsisimula ang pagiging leader yung ikaw bilang tao, nauunawaan mo ba yung kababayan mo yung sasakupin mo, yung paglilingkuran.
Mayor Isko, itong mga sinasabi mo na, nasaan ka nung kailangan ka namin, ng karanasan, if I'm getting you right, are you willing to amend the Constitution at i-include itong karanasan bilang bahagi ng qualification?
And that's a good point. That I agree with you.
Kasi merong mga peculiarities ang bawat bayan. Halimbawa sa Myanmar, hindi man ako agree, isa ngayon sa kanilang qualifications ay dapat hindi ka mag-asawa ng foreigner dahil may kinalaman kay Aung San Suu Kyi, di ba? Indonesia, high school graduate. Turkey, parang higher education.
Alam mo, magandang ginagawa, magandang pamantayan, yung sa justice system natin. Bago ka maging judge, may X number of years na nagtrabaho.
Great Britain. Bago ka maging prime minister, you have to be an MP, a member of parliament.
Exactly. So, meron kang pwedeng dagdagan. Huwag mo nang baguhin, kasi kawawa naman, yung isang magsasaka sa bundok ng tralala, nagsikap siyang maigi, iraos yung kanyang anak. At yung kanyang anak, naging mabuting mamamayan, nagsikap at bigla naging leader. Mawawala ng pagkakataon na maging leader na ng bansa. Mali yun.
Napapag-usapan lamang natin dahil naalala ko ang sinabi ni the late Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago na ginagalang natin ng husto. Sabi na, pag nag-a-apply ka nga bilang police officer, nire-require ka na college graduate. Ano pa kaya ang pagiging presidente na napaka-complex? But I get your
Yes,
point.
but kasalanan din ng state. We didn't make education available to everyone. Saan ka nakakita? Makapagkolehiyo ka, kailangan mo lumuwas ng Maynila. Ilan kayo, Tito Boy? Sorry, mas lamang ang edad mo sa akin na. Ilan kayong pumunta sa Maynila para mag-aral sa
Konti
Maynila?
lang. Dalawa.
Exactly, that's my point. So, bago natin i-claim, pataasin ang standard ng educational attainment ng isang kandidato, we made sure that education is available to any John Doe and Mary, Pedro and Petra. Para walang dahilan, ba't hindi ka pa nag-aral? Libre na nga. Ba't hindi ka nag-aral? Gusto mo palang maglingkod. So, sa akin, okay ang pag-aaral, Tito Boy. Pero at some point, may kasalanan pa tayo. So, punan muna natin yung kasalanan nang mawalan ng dahilan ng isang taong hindi makapag-aral. Kung yun ang argument.
No, I was not referring just to the education. Yung mga ibang requirements na iba-iba. Peculiar sa bawat bayan. Tapos na tayo sa ating 10 katanungan, Mayor. Punta naman tayo sa personal issue-based question na iyo lamang at ako'y magtatanong. You have 60 seconds to answer. Wala akong follow-up. In 2007, Mayor Isko, you ran for Vice Mayor under Asenso Manileño. 2010, nagsani puwersa kayo ni former Mayor Alfredo Lim. In 2012, iniwan mo ang Nationalist Party para sumama sa puwersa ng Masang Pilipino with the former President Joseph Estrada na tumatakbo noon laban sa dati mong kapartido na si Mayor Lim. Noong 2016, tumakbo kang senador, you were adopted by Senator Grace Poe, at ang kanyang partido ay Galing at Puso, and you were also an adopted senator by Senator Bongbong Marcos' party. Kung hindi ako nagkakamali. 2019, you ran again under Asenso Manileño. You can answer that. Because your critics accuse you of being a political butterfly. What do you have to say?
Okay. Now, I'm one of the founding father of Asenso Manileño. I've never left Asenso Manileño. Parties that you're mentioning is alliances from the local party which I belong and founded with Danny Lacuna as president and chairman. Never kaming nawalang Asenso Manila. In fact, ngayon, Tito Boy, isa sa pinakamalaking partido, 80% ng local party is Asenso Manila. We started with 6. Started in 2007 when we created it. It's now 2022, so that's about 15 years na. And we continue to be Asenso Manila. And never ko naging party mate. Si Erap, si Lim, kasi nag-a-alliance kami. Kami ang kinukuha na political battle, with all honesty. You know, I would rather, if I may borrow, my loyalty to the party ends where my loyalty to the people begins, sabi ni Manuel Quezon. Yun na nga. Loyalty ko sa no matter what.
Maraming salamat, Mayor Isko. Ngayon naman ay gagawin natin ang political fast talk. 60 seconds. Sanay ka dito dahil maraming beses ka na nag-bisita sa aking iba't ibang mga programa. Okay. We begin. Mayor Isko, bakit hindi dapat iboto si Senator Lacson?
Senator Lacson, Pwede naman boto rin, ha?
Senator Pacquiao,
Mabait naman siya, okay naman.
bakit hindi dapat iboto si VP Lenny?
Maghihiganti sa mga Marcos at Duterte.
Bakit hindi dapat iboto si Senator Marcos?
Maghihiganti sa mga dilawan at pinklawan.
Bakit ikaw ang dapat iboto?
Hindi ako maghihiganti kanino man. Wala akong paghihigantihan. Ako, sa dami ng problema, sa bilis ng problema, kailangan natin ng mga tunay na solusyon at mabilis na aksyon. That I can do.
Maraming salamat. Let's go to the final question. Muli, you have 60 seconds to answer this. Wala akong follow-up. At narito ang katanungan. Latag muna ito, Mayor Isko. March 19, 2018, President Duterte withdrew the Philippines from the Rome Statute. When the withdrawal took effect on March 2019, the Philippines was no longer a member of the International Criminal Court. The withdrawal happened matapos si anunsyo ni then ICC Prosecutor Fatou Bensouda ang pagbubukas ng preliminary examination sa Pilipinas with respect to the alleged crimes against humanity na nagaganap sa bansa dahil di umano sa war on drugs. The President has threatened to arrest the ICC Prosecutor if she conducts activities dito sa Pilipinas because we are no longer an ICC member and the ICC has no right to do any investigating. On November 10, 2021, the Philippine government requested a deferral of the ICC's request for examination under the principle of complementarity, claiming that the country had begun its own investigation. The current ICC prosecutor, Karim Khan, in a document dated November 18, sabi niya they will temporarily suspend its investigation into the Philippines as it assesses the scope and effect of the government's request for deferral that cited the investigations being done by the DOJ. Human rights advocacy groups are urging the ICC to proceed with the investigation to not further delay justice for the victims. Tanong, Mayor Isko. Sumulat, hypothetical, ang ICC prosecutor na si Karim Khan at nagre-request, Presidente Isko, pwede ba kami, ako at ang aking team, pumunta sa Pilipinas para simulan na ang preliminary investigation sa di umano'y mga krimen laban sa sangkatauhan na may kinalaman sa war on drugs ni President Duterte. Bilang Presidente, ano po ang inyong gagawin? Papayagan mo ba sila pumunta dito sa Pilipinas? Oo, hindi. Bakit?
Welcome kayo rito. Wala man tayo tinatago. Our justice system continues to work and it's effective. Gumagana. Nothing to hide. Nothing to hide. You come here, investigate, do what you have to do. We must continue to recognize our agreement. We are a signatory of this agreement, whether it is ICC, Hague, United Nations membership. We must continue to recognize and welcome these people. Para na sa ganoon, bumalik ulit tayo doon sa status na, wala naman tayong ikinukubli. Saka walang dapat kabahan ng sino man kung wala ka namang ginawang kasalanan. So welcome na welcome siya sa atin.
Mayor Isko, maraming salamat.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you sa opportunity na ito. Maraming salamat.
God bless you at
Ay,
mabuhay.
may awa ang Diyos. Thank you.
Maraming salamat. At sa inyo pong sumama sa amin ngayong gabi sa aming pag-uusap kasama sa Mayor Isko. Maraming salamat. Kayo mag-iingat. God bless. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas. Good night.
Sa darating na 9 ng Mayo, isang makasaysayang araw ang magaganap. Muli tayong boboto ng mga susunod na lider ng ating bansa. Kabilang na ang pinakamataas at pinakamakapangyarihang pwesto sa gobyerno, ang Pangulo ng Pilipinas na uupo sa Palasyo ng Malacanang. Mabigat na responsibilidad at trabaho, pero marami ang naghahangad sa posisyong ito. Ngayong gabi, samahan niyo kami sa isang natatanging pagkakataon para kilalanin at kilatisin ang ilang tumatakbo sa pagkapangulo. Alamin ang kanilang mga kasagutan sa mga kontrobersyang iniuugnay sa kanila. Timbangin ang kanilang mga posisyon sa mga mahalagang isyu ng bayan. At usisain ang kanilang programa at platapormang inihahain sa taong bayan. Inimbitahan po namin ang 5 nangungunang presidential aspirants base sa pinakahuling surveys. 4 ang tumanggap sa aming hamon. 3 ang makakasama natin sa studio habang nasa remote location ang isa na nagpapagaling matapos dapuan ng COVID-19. Samantala, isa ang tumangging magpaunlak ng panaya. Simulan na po natin ang tanungan. Magandang gabi, ito ang The Jessica Soho Presidential Interviews.
Battle continues. Victory! That's how it's done.
Sabay po tayong napapanood ng ating mga kababayan sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo sa
May parang mga
Amerika,
charger mo,
Canada,
nag-charge yung phone ko.
Middle East, North America at Asia Pacific sa pamagitan ng GMA Pinoy TV. At napapakinggan din po tayo sa DZBB at sa lahat ng super radio stations nationwide. May live stream din po tayo.
Okay, now apparently if I just rub this with my finger, okay? When I rub my fingers together, let's see what happens. Wow! Wait, what? Did it work?
Let's start working on your epic comeback.
When you rub them. That's crazy.
Not over yet. Keep pushing.
That's insane!
I love catching some waves.
What if I put the oil on the tip of my magic wand? Okay, do you think it's gonna work? Maybe. So let's say I show up on the scene at a birthday party, and I whip out this magic wand. Okay. Wow! Oh! Wow! That didn't look that good. Yeah.
I'm gonna get that suit. But small, and I'm gonna get that one, then I'm gonna get that thing, and then I'm not gonna do that.
This fight is not over yet.
Okay, I got it now.
What a win!
The odds are in my favor. I need that project.
Stay warm out there.
You're stronger than Adam or 21, right?
I think so.
Which one is fight? Knock him off, hold him, and turn around and get and roll him away, right? Right?
So,
My favorite.
Would you? But how come just can't carry Adam and Adam can carry Justin? You're stronger than him. I know you are. So maybe you can throw him like this. Right? You just spin like this into the wall. He's gonna die. He's gonna die. He's gonna die. You're as strong as you're meant to die. Look.
oh no. Oh no.
Fight is not over yet.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! 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 No!
What a win! Play nice, minion.
Edible, but you can eat too much and die. That's good. You might. Ooh!
My dragon rat is furious.
I think I broke my neck. I broke my neck. I'm going to the doctor.
can't turn around.
Right? You step on you and fly up in the sky, right? Jump up.
Stay warm out there.
Who are talking to?
No one.
Who are you talking?
I'm not talking to anyone.
Then why are you talking?
I'm just talking.
You're not playing with anyone.
Babe, pahing pera. Pahing pera. Cellphone. Paparepair. Lalabas na ako. Hindi ko alam.